Either or.
Let's war rolling and let's talk. We here to bring the truth. Jar open this podcast. We breaking through the fake news. They try to silence us, but we will be subdued. We're bearded alpha males here to save the youth. Spitting fire on the mic with the bass Christian takes. Exposing the lies, keeping the demons at bay. We ain't afraid to speak up. We won't be swayed. Jar open this podcast where the truth is laid. Jar openers, cracking open the lies. We're rolling at let's talk. We're here to rise. Bearded alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. We ain't playing games, we're on a mission to awaken the masses with our intuition. Pulling out the corruption with no inhibition. Jar open this podcast, sparking a revolution. We're not afraid to stand tall in a world full of deceit. We're the voice of reason, bringing light to the street. Keeping it real, never missing a beat. Jar open this podcast where the truth meets the heat. Jar openers, cracking open the lies. We're rolling out, let's talk, we're here to rise. Bearded alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. Jar open this podcast where the truth will never cease. Join us on the journey to bring back peace. We're rolling out the start, fearless in our release. Jar open this podcast where the lies will decrease.
What is up? Jar Openers Podcast, episode 24. Kicking it off. What up, dude?
It's a beautiful day, man. Excited to get into it. Now that we're doing daily shows now, we have a lot more kind of niche arguments we can put forward and talk about a bit more smaller news pieces. I actually enjoy them.
Yeah, me too. I'm loving it right now. And I gotta say, the air conditioner seems to be acting up in the house. So I got all the windows open. It's like 50 degrees outside. So I'll probably wrap up and go freeze. But it's weird. I'll just kind of BS here for a minute while waiting for people to filter in. I got one of these units. I'm in Florida. And so my unit is outside. My air handler is outside. And like the fan and everything. But oh, what up, Southeast Trucking? It's been a little bit. Nice to see you here, bud.
It was some.
Yeah, and so I've been noticing this every winter for the past 2 years, but it's been manageable. And what happens is when I start using the heat, which I only used it one day so far this year, it'll like kick off and it's supposed to just be sitting idle, but the fan will be running and like a little bit of heat will be coming through the vents. And so even if it's like set at 65 or whatever, it'll keep going and the house will get up to the 70s and whatever until I go and literally hit the circuit breaker. And then like the whole thermostat and everything turns off. And I got to go outside and like kick the freaking unit to try to like, I don't know. It worked last year. I kicked the unit a couple times and it
Whatever makes it work, though.
Quit doing that. What's that?
Whatever makes it work.
Yeah, exactly. But I turned it back on last night. It was hot in the house. I turned the AC on. It wasn't cool enough just with the windows open. And the house wasn't getting cold, and it felt like the air coming through the vents was almost like had some humidity to it. So it seems like the heat coils and the A coil were both on at the same time, but I don't think that's even possible with the system that I have. So I don't know. I think I just got to get a whole new AC unit outside. So I'm not looking forward to that, but
I would die without mine.
Bro,
I need the house to be at least like 68. Anything higher than that, I do one activity, I'm sweating.
Yeah. So that's the same way I am. I love it to be cold in the house. I like it to be so cold at night that like I have to be under the blankets. And if I don't, like my shoulder will hurt. If my arm's exposed, it'll get so cold it makes my like shoulders numb. I don't know why, but it's just one of those things. But yeah, man, I'm hoping that it'll fix itself like it has in the past soon. But I do have window units. So it's actually not a window unit, it's a little like standalone unit that you hook up to the window, like with a little vent. And so that saved us last night when we were going to bed because it was like 74 in the house and I can't sleep when it's that hot. I need it down in like the 60s.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I'm noticing my camera is like autofocusing like crazy, so I'm gonna like actually like try to fix that real quick before we get
Okay.
started.
No, that's cool. Thankfully we can hear you. I'm gonna actually adjust my camera. I try to lower it down on the tripod, but it didn't really affect it much. But when I angle it like that, got to use the TV remote. Sets it at the perfect height. So sorry about we'll get into what's going on here tonight, what we got in store. Apparently they have over the last few days they've been talking about the military drones in well, not military drones at the time. There's drones, unidentified drones, UAPs of sorts, flying all over New Jersey, and it's been a regular thing for a little while apparently. And just today, they have identified them, or at least they believe to have identified the source. And that's a interesting little story to get into. We do have some more updates on the United Healthcare shooter that we're going to talk about. Brett Cooper has made it official that she is leaving the Daily Wire. That's something that we actually brought up almost a couple weeks ago. It feels like when Ian Carroll posted a video talking all about it. So we're going to look at some of the details from that. We might, we got other things lined up too, but typically those first three end up lasting the first 2 hours. So if we do get into more, we're going to talk about the Christian persecution over in Syria. Trump has pledged to end birthright citizenship and reform the migrant court system. And let's see here. RFK Jr. also, he wants to uncover whether or not the CIA was involved in JFK's assassination. So that would be cool to find out, get some more insight into what happened with JFK. Seems to be like the ultimate conspiracy theory.
And yeah, that one's really curious because I believe now not only has Trump said that he doesn't want to release the entire thing, or what's the right word for that? Disclose the entire documents of the whole case. Kash Patel also said that he thinks that we can't or shouldn't disclose it. So if RFK is wanting to see the whole story, would be cool to see kind of tension between them.
Yeah, that's true. And then speaking of Kash Patel, it appears that the Chris Wray, the director of the FBI, will be stepping aside. That breaking news just came across just like a couple hours ago. I got a text about it. Let's see. Then we even have I think Trump's response to that. It's not queued up in our list, but I know that was something that broke today, so we might even dig into that a little bit. Before we get started too, want to remind everybody to please hit the like button. If you're on YouTube, make sure you're hitting the like button, subscribing to the channels. I'm on America First TV, but Atlas Thugged is also streaming live from his channel, and he's chasing down that 1,000 subscriber mark. He's down to the last 100, and the 1,000 mark is a good what am I trying to say? It's a marker. Yeah, it's a good marker for monetization. It used to be the initial entry into monetization, but they kind of made like a halfway little thing that isn't full on monetization. So if you guys want to support us, that's a free way that you can kind of give away Google's money by making sure you're subscribed. If you're over on X, make sure you're hitting that follow button. Please repost this as well. I feel like we have
numbers we had on your last one. You had one that I believe Native Patriot quoted like shortly after we did the show. Ended up getting almost like 10,000 impressions on that last one on X.
Did it? I didn't even go back and look at it. But I know that when Native Patriot was on, we ended up going over 1,000 actual viewers right at the end there, which was a milestone. And currently, we're at 137 and growing, which is awesome. I appreciate everybody for being here. We're just a couple guys. We're just getting started with our live journey. Of course, like I said, this is our 24th episode. So we started off doing one per week. For those of you that are new here, at least, we started off doing one per week. Then we moved to two. And recently, just this week, we brought in our third show of the week. So we're on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays at 6 p.m. Eastern time. But like I was saying, if you're over on X, make sure you give us a follow. I try to follow everybody back. Unless you're speaking a different language on your account or some nonsense or whatever, and you guys know what nonsense is. You typically don't follow those back, but if you like this video over on X, and then I see that you followed me, I'll definitely follow you right back. Well, not right back, probably after the show. And then, of course, if you're on Rumble, all that stuff applies as well. We're trying to grow over on Rumble, but that's been a lot slower coming. And I have seen a little bit of growth the last week or so. But like I was saying, if you like us, if you're an America First type individual, you're in the right place. So make sure you're giving away all that free support, because that's the cool thing about it, in my opinion. Google isn't necessarily one of the best friends to our way of thinking, but you can give away their money by give away their money for free simply by liking and subscribing, sharing, commenting, being a part of the conversation, all that good stuff. It's good to see JB in chat. Donnie, thanks for being here. Southeast Trucking. It's been a couple days, couple weeks, maybe. Time's flying, but it's good to see you back. And then, well, I guess let people know where they can actually find you, and then we'll get into
you can find me at Atlas Thugged on YouTube, like we alluded to earlier. I run a smaller solo show where I kind of dive into a lot more personal, more social, cultural stuff, a lot more pertaining to Christianity itself too. I am a Christian nationalist, and a bit more kind of what's the right word for that? Maybe a bit more esoteric than what we cover here, which is more a bit broader, more broader news from the conservative perspective. And you can also follow me on X at Atlas_Thugged_. And I do not hold back on X for the most part. So you'll see probably the most radical takes you've seen from me over on X.
Yeah. Same with me. There's a lot of stuff you can say over there that you can't say here, at least on YouTube. So if you want the more uncensored, raw version, you'll find us over there. And also, I'm like I said, I'm I didn't say this. I'm America First TV on YouTube, but I'm Worrell over on X. It's something I've had forever, and I'm not going to give it up. So all the links should be in the descriptions, all that good type of stuff. Also, we have a Discord. It's been growing a little bit lately. We had a really good conversation about interest rates and housing in America and Social Security and stuff like that today. So if you're interested in being a part of that, those links are also in the description as well. So anyways, look forward to seeing you guys there. Let's get right into this first one. Let's actually, I'm going to use this one because I need to see that left side of X. We're going to talk about these military drones in New Jersey. We got a post from Tim Pool here. Holy F. And that's a repost from him from Breaking 911. Not following them. I wonder if I should. But breaking report, drones over New Jersey are from Iraq, and Iran. Congressman Jeff Van Drew claims Iran has stationed a mothership off the U.S. coast, reportedly launching drones now flying over New Jersey. And he accompanied that with this clip right here. So let's just go ahead and give it a play. Guys, let me know if the volume is okay. Sometimes I'm echoey and I got to change my my input. So let me know.
Not hearing anything.
What's that?
I don't think there's any audio.
There's no audio?
Oh.
Okay. So yeah, let me retry to add that then here.
While you're doing that, I'll respond to a comment we just got from Takes Bomber. Says, what is your definition of nationalist? I only ask because people can place their own context bias to what someone means by nationalist. I'm somebody, let me actually give like a shorter answer to that, be a bit more eye-opening. I'm somebody who views the separation of church and state as a myth. I believe it was adjudicated very, very poorly. I believe everything from our Constitution to the institutions that were originally installed by the founding fathers were Christ-breathed, all completely holy. Milo Yiannopoulos put this very well on the Simple Show. It's like fish in the water, where fish doesn't really understand that, nor find the need to describe that it is in water because it's literally surrounded by it. Naturalists in the perspective of I would do everything and would support everyone who moves things towards a further right positioning on Christianity, which would be things such as putting the 10 Commandments back into the school, putting New Testament, like New Gideon Bibles for a matter. I know I'm not some supporter of New Gideon, but into like Department of Education, if it were to even exist, um, anything and anything that evolves or revolves around putting Christian ethics back at the forefront of this country as being like the most important thing to follow. Especially if you go back to the original thing, freedom of religion is something I also believe was not, what's the right word? It wasn't meant to be so that there would be open kind of positioning for Muslims to have sway in American government. It wasn't any kind of open way to have for Hindus to have sway in the government. It was more so the freedom of denomination. Charlie Kirk puts this pretty well in a good argument too. All of those things that kind of align around there that would shore up our definition and understanding of what it means to be a Christian nation. I'm moving towards that. I'm someone who doesn't believe in the freedom of religion as it's like kind of been loosely described as. But nationalists in the perspective of everything needing to revolve around that being our forefront ideology and what everyone should be believing, and then everything else is downstream from that.
Oh, fair enough. All right, let's try this audio again one more time.
In focus now, Republican Congress.
You guys hear that?
Yep. Perfect.
Okay. Okay, cool. All right, well, let's give this video a try. He responded there, actually, if you want to address that.
Okay. Tick said agreed. That's what I consider the definition of nationalist as well. The actual founding principles, ideals, and morals of our nation. Yeah, exactly. House Leotardo has a comment right before you also that says America wasn't founded as a Christian nation, like in quotes. And the reality is 9 out of 13 original colonies had state churches. The original law codes were based on the 10 commandments. You could even go before that as well. Obviously, there were a lot of people here before we were actually formed in the 1700s. If you go to like even all the original like settlements, whether it was in like Plymouth Rock, so on and so forth, all the different kind of smaller ones that eventually built up into the states we have today, they all again were all Christ breathed. Their governments, their institutions, everything revolved around the fact that they were all a Christian people. But yeah, I know some people have a bit more kind of extreme ideas of nationalists. For me, it's more so centered around Christianity as being that leading principle, but not to derail anymore.
No, you're good. It's a fair question that he asked, and I think you addressed it better than I could have. So
yeah, it's been my what do you call that? My lead go to. I'm like that more than I am a Republican. That's for sure. I don't even know if I'm a Republican, to be honest with you. I'm more Christian nationalist than conservative.
Yeah, I'm actually I'm not a Democrat. That's all I know. I would say I'm more of an independent. I have voted for Democrats in the past, not in the presidential candidates. I did vote for Gary Johnson in the Obama-McCain election for president. I voted for a libertarian once before. But nowadays I can't. I'll never vote for a Democrat. That's just the way that one's going to go.
No, I feel
but
that.
It's not because I'm in the bag for the Republicans. It's just almost a lesser of two evils. And like, we're not really going to get into the topic so much, but old Mitch McConnell fell down, scraped his face, and hurt his hand or whatever. And he's not going to be the Senate leader at the end of the year. He's stepping down. But I believe he should also step down from just overall leadership, stuff like that. So I mean, and he's not the only one.
Yeah, he was getting wheeled around earlier today. Yeah,
Was he?
I put a screenshot in there in the outline from Benny Johnson.
Okay.
He looks like
tried to play it off last night that he just had a scrape to his hand. It was no big deal. But then or to his face, I mean. But then there was a picture that was with it of his hand that was messed up, and so I mean, it reminded me of the Jay Leno walking around saying he fell down a hill and his whole face is beat up like he owed somebody money.
No, I saw a report that said that McConnell had like a bad fall, like a really bad fall. That was like the initial thing that I saw, and then now him being in a wheelchair, I seem to believe that's probably more true than not.
Yeah, I see here. JB said, honestly, I don't think the drones are from Iran. They just want to let us think that they are. Yeah, it could very well be propaganda. They always want to have this next boogeyman, and an escalation in Iran would be another step closer to a World War III type scenario. And I still wouldn't put it past the Democratic Party of trying to do some kind of power grab within this last, 40 days before Donald Trump is inaugurated. to try to retain power or postpone the inauguration. We saw it in Ukraine with Zelensky in 2023, where he was supposed to have a presidential election in May, I believe, and then his parliament keeps putting it off for 90 days and 90 days and 90 days, and now I think the next presidential election over there in Ukraine is supposed to be in February, but I
Never.
anticipate that will be pushed back again, So, just with all the shenanigans that's been going on, the crazy use of the criminal justice system against Donald Trump and a lot of his supporters, I just don't feel. I feel like they're just not going to bow out. The Democrats aren't just going to bow out in these next 40 days, which was one of the contributing reasons to why I was saying Donald Trump needed to stay his ass at home and not go over to France or whatever it was for that opening of the church. He needed to stay behind bulletproof glass at home and make sure that he's safe. You know what I mean? Fly as little as possible, all that stuff.
Yeah, well, the center around there's two sides to this, right? And I think Jay points out something that I thought as well. I saw this and I initially kind of went like, I doubt it's Iran. I think Donnie alluded to that in an earlier comment as well. It was kind of crazy because once again, there's the split on the right wing, and I'm seeing a lot of the same people for similar reasons, all to say like, there's no way that this is Iran. But then I'm also seeing again more kind of establishment Republicans saying, yeah, this is definitely Iran. And the one thing it made me think of, I imagine most people here couldn't think of it too. Shortly after the assassination attempt with Donald Trump, who was the first person they blamed, and the story just disappeared. It was Iran had coordinated this assassination attempt. That's who wanted Donald Trump killed.
Oh yeah.
And then I heard some really good arguments too from people like Dave Smith as well, libertarians, pointing out like there's like nothing to gain for Iran from doing this. They're kind of like on the bottom lever of the leverage, and especially what's going on in the Middle East currently. That it's like, for what reason would they have to do this? Knowing that Trump would come in, they'd probably start stomping him out. Seeing the support that we have there too. And so nothing kind of even points that way either. I think I added into the outline too. Laura Loomer might have the tweet. There's also people pointing out that it could be China as well, but I think as of right now, it's just like we have no idea. We need to see more.
Right. Okay, so let's go ahead and what I agree with Tix Bomber there. And by the way, welcome in, dude. I don't recognize your name from the any of the previous shows, so forgive me if you've been here before, but it's cool that you're here, man. Appreciate that. But he said they got to be plotting. I assume you're he. They got to be plotting something they accepted defeat way too gracefully. And yeah, that's something. And when you add to the fact that people like Cenk Uygur and some of these other folks are going around, well, what's their names? Mika Brzezinski and Joe Scarborough, they're kind of acting like, well, especially Cenk. He's been saying, and you've seen it in my videos. So if you watch my videos, it's going to be a little repetitive, but he's making his rounds on right-leaning media. He was on the PBD podcast. He went on Timcast IRL the other day, and he keeps acting like he actually agrees with MAGA more than ever. He's yet to apologize. He's yet to admit that he's actually wrong. He's yet to say Donald Trump is a good guy, but he's invented this new phrase of he likes to call himself a populist, right? And he's come up with this new phrase where he's talking about the left populist and the right populist need to get together. And it's like, bro, you're just trying to save face with your Democrat, left-leaning, liberal audience by calling it a left populist, by indicating that you're still on the left, while trying to appeal to the real populists, which are the majority of Americans that voted for Donald Trump. And you're trying to merge the two, and you're trying to grift to gain an audience from the people that you've hated for 10 years. So I'm not falling for it. I've seen a lot of people, even Tim Pool's like, oh, Cenk's kind of coming around. And no, he's not. He's just faking. He's trying to save his career. Maybe that Soros money dried up. Not sure what it is, but not falling for it.
Well, I know it's Tim's also part of like that wing of people who always want to kind of extend the benefit of the doubt and also kind of like reach a hand across the aisle. He always kind of defaults to that too, and I think to a fault, especially after we've seen how the Democrats have been acting. We just are coming off of the Daniel Penny trial, seeing how the opposition is acting, and there's a certain point where it's like we can no longer kind of give you these kind of same playing on a fair playing field, right? It's like we've saw what you would do with power. We see what you want to do with power. And it's like we can't let that slide. Like we can't allow that anymore. Like your ideology is broken and it's violent, it's dangerous. And like we and people like Cenk, right? It's also somebody who's like he just can't admit that he's wrong. He'll kind of like convert and twist everything into being like, well, I was right, but like you have to think about it like this. And if I was saying it like this, actually, and it's like, dude, come on. It's like you're on the losing side. And now everybody sees these like ridiculous arguments he's been making on this tour he's doing. And it's like, dude, you just look like a bigger idiot now that you can't just say, I was wrong.
Right. Well, he dared to say that MAGA has changed. And my wife actually made a comment on the PBD podcast, and she keeps getting a bunch of likes and responses to it because it's like, bro, have you not heard of Drain the Swamp? Like, what do you mean MAGA changed? Like, we didn't come to this, like, we didn't form into something other than what we originally were, which was we need to get the bureaucrats out. We need to get the warmongers out. We need to restore the power back to the people. You know, that's what America First is. It's for Americans. And you know, he's acting like, well, MAGA shifted, and he's trying to sound intelligent. It's just like, bro, shut the F up. I played it in my video today. Matt Walsh put a video out on it yesterday. It's really funny because we pretty much made the same video yesterday, but I went ahead and kind of remade it. It's a little repetitive, but I included Matt Walsh in it today because his take was so much more thorough than mine. I mean, he's been in this space for a decade or more. I've been in it for a year and a half, but almost 2 years. But he said, Cenk shouldn't be allowed to be anywhere near a microphone right now. He's basically admitting that he's been wrong for the, you know, his whole entire crusade of his career. And he has no right of being a thought leader at all. And he's yet to, he didn't say repent. I said repent, but he's yet to apologize. He's yet to acknowledge that he was wrong. And ultimately I just think he's a big poser. He's just out there grifting, trying to, you know, stay relevant. But it was a good take. If you guys haven't watched it when the stream is over, maybe consider clicking on that video because he crushed him pretty hard. He even crushed old Scarborough and Brzezinski as well. I kind of cut out some of that, but you know, it is what it is. I wanted to address Tix Bomber here. He said, first time I've caught a live, came across your channel from the algo. Been watching you ever since, like your stuff. Man, I appreciate that. That's cool. I like hearing positive feedback like that. Sometimes I wonder if my daily stuff is just kind of, I don't know. I like doing the live a lot more. It's the more of a real me. I get to just flow and speak from the heart rather than trying to be good on a video. I don't know.
Yeah, for the YouTuber game.
It's such a different approach, I guess is the way to word it. But Donnie said it's been a pattern. If something big happens, they don't want to answer questions about it, so they blame Iran. Yeah, I hear that. Does anyone believe Iran has this much power? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, Trump, I'll put that on screen actually. Trump, in his first 4 years, he pretty much cut off their resources, and Hezbollah and Hamas and all the terrorist factions that they fund, I think it's mainly Hezbollah, was all but gone, right? I mean, they just didn't have any money to do anything. And then as soon as Biden was back in there, all of a sudden the funding increased. And I think it was one of Obama's last acting things as president. Didn't he send like 5 jumbo jets just straight up full of cash to Iran? Wasn't it something like that? And then Biden tried to unblock some fund or whatever.
Well, the Biden administration was actually funding these groups too. I believe Anthony Blinken was on not on trial, but he testified today. He was getting can't remember who's questioning him. They're grilling him pretty hard. But then he tried to dismiss it, and it was like, well, it's just a small percentage of money. So it's like now it's out in the open. I mean, as of recent, that we are funding, like we're literally funding both sides. You know, the meme, right?
Yeah.
Where you see like rockets firing at each other, and it's like my tax dollars, and then somehow also my tax dollars.
Also my tax dollars. Yeah,
exactly that. Yeah.
It's true. That's true. Tix Bomber said, I've noticed there's quite a few new Bill Maher-esque grifters, the king of flip-flopping. Yeah, exactly. I don't even think Bill Maher pays attention to the news. He just has Trump derangement syndrome and then repeats what his writers and stuff like that tell him.
Yeah,
Um,
I can't stand Bill Maher.
yeah,
I think that dude's like an arrogant smug. I won't. I
yeah.
won't finish the sentence.
House Leotardo said MAGA has been hijacked by Claremont. I don't know what Claremont is. Do you know? I was reading that and I'm trying to rack my brain. I probably should
Not
know.
off the top, but what I will say is, and I probably have seen it. I've probably seen Claremont illustrated to me before. Um, but the thing is like when we were on the topic of MAGA, and in the argument with Cenk Uygur, I think there is a sect of MAGA people who are like to do kind of demonstrate the MAGA cult stuff that the left sees, where it's
Yeah.
like they'll never disagree with anything that's said. And then there's also with what happened with the DEA. Can't remember the sheriff's name off the top of my head. Yeah, the Claremont Institute. Where the DEA guy was all like, we all rallied around and were like, "No, dude, you're not going to put a guy into the administration who is um should be in jail for arresting a pastor during COVID."
Oh
Now,
yeah.
there's other portions where I think that, we have been hijacked, maybe not the mega movement, but more so that we kind of got the wool or the rug pulled out from underneath us. And I think that goes to a bit more, this will go into a bit more esoteric, and House Leotardo probably agrees too. Depending on like the funding with the administration, as well as like, I mean, it's one after another. You get Pam Bondi, Cash Patel even said it, and a few others just put in there where they go and they pay homage to, Ben Shapiro's favorite country. And so I
Mm.
think that when you look at the donor class who's been behind Trump compared to who was behind him in 2016, there is a difference in the way the campaigns have kind of like played out. I think Trump got a good campaign there towards the end, but I think he's right in the fact that it's not as populist and at least electorate driven as it was previously, and I think that there's still going to be red tape moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah. And you made me think of something when you said that. Jank did have a good point, and that's the thing. Jank is making a couple decent points, but they're sprinkled in, and it's hard to hear. But he did say that both sides usually judge the other one by like the crazy, the most extremes. I think a lot of that is I don't actually now that I say it out loud, I don't even know if I agree with that, because the extremes that they use from the left would be like January 6th, but that was just a few hundred, I'll say, not even bad actors, and they pay the price for it. But when you look at the things that they excuse, the BLM Summer of Love riots, the attack on the White House on 5/29, the injured like 100, Secret Service and Capitol Police and stuff like that, they give it a pass. They even burnt down St. John's the Cathedral, or set fire to it. They didn't burn it down. And then the only thing they condemned was the Trump photo op, right? So I don't know. The extremists from the left that we're judging is actually more of the mean, more of the average, rather than the extremist on the right that they judge everybody else by. Essentially, everybody's a Proud Boy or whatever if you're on the right.
Yeah.
JB said, "Remember when we had a president that saw a threat and neutralized it? How far do you think that Chinese balloon would have made it?" Yeah, exactly. And then Tix Bomber said,
Yeah. I got a strike for the stupid Chinese balloon video.
"Did you
that was
really?
made. Yeah.
Oh man, I
That's
didn't.
my first
Thankfully,
strike, like, what, 3 years ago?
yeah, it would have been last year.
Yeah. Or
Would
was it
be
last year? Yeah, man, I guess it's not that old, yeah. But yeah,
yeah,
that's my first strike.
crazy." And then Tix Bomber said, "It's more dangerous to shoot it down." Was my favorite part of that. Yeah, I know, right? It
Yeah.
could. That's crazy. And then House Leotardo also made a good point here. He said, "While Iran's ally Syria is being toppled, they're flying drones over New Jersey." Sure, and I like how they phrase that. Is that there's a mothership, like it's some alien mothership, and they're flying UAPs over Jersey. Like,
Yeah.
I don't
The
know. I don't
propaganda's
know.
getting see-through, dude. It's like they're
I'm not.
using, they went from aluminum foil to, like, plastic wrap. It's like, dude, I see what's on the other side, man. You can't fool me anymore.
Right. This is speculation, but I just don't see. I don't know if Iran has a boat that's actually even capable, like a Navy vessel that's even capable of like sitting off New Jersey's coast, so close that they can fly military drones over. I don't know. I did see a video of it though. Native Patriot, our friend, he posted a video of it at night, and I think it's a sped up video, but it's rather active. So I'll play that here in a minute. Let's go ahead and actually let's play this clip here from Fox News Alert. Yeah, in White Jersey.
In focus now, Republican Congressman Jeff Van Drew of New Jersey, member of the House Judiciary Committee on the Hill right now. How do you address this at this point?
Well, here's the real deal, Harris. You know, I'm also on the Transportation Committee, on the Aviation Subcommittee, and I've gotten to know people. And from very high sources, very qualified sources, very responsible sources, I'm going to tell you the real deal. Iran launched a mothership, probably about a...
You know, a red flag goes up when somebody says, I'm going to tell you the truth. Here's the real deal. Like, oh, okay. That's how you're going to frame it? Now I don't trust you. I trust you less now.
month ago that contains these drones. That mothership is off. I'm going to tell you the deal. It's off the east coast of the United States of America. They've launched drones, is everything that we can see or hear. And again, these are from high sources. I don't say this lightly. Now, you know, we know there was a probability it could have been our own government. We know it's not our own government because they would have let us know. It could have been some really glorified hobbyist or
Right, like Biden's government is that transparent. They would have let us know, guys.
Hobbyists that were doing something unbelievable. They don't have the technology. But let's pretend that's possible. The third possibility was somebody, an adversarial country, doing this. Know that Iran made a deal with China to purchase drones, motherships, and technology in order to go forward. The sources I have are good. They can't reveal who they are because they are speaking to me in confidentiality. These drones should...
Sources close to the White House are telling me it's the custodian, janitor, if you want to be a dick about it. You know, they'll phrase, that's how they like to frame stuff sometimes, is sources close to the White House, sources close to Nancy Pelosi, but it's really like just a homeless dude that just took a shit on the sidewalk right in front of the Capitol.
Yeah.
be shot down.
He's close in proximity, so it's true.
Whether it was some crazy hobbyist that we can't imagine, or whether it is Iran, and I think it very possibly could be, they should be shot down. We are not getting the full deal, and the military is on alert with this.
Look, you've given us some pretty dire information just here, and I want to make...
Sorry, I keep interrupting, but he said they should be shot down. I feel like we have like capabilities where we could probably just fly a jet past it, do some like directional EMP type thing, small level, and just make the thing go dead and fall from the sky. You know what I mean? We don't even need to like blow it up or worry about anything crazy, you know what I mean? But just send out a drone that goes next to it that just makes it fall out of the sky or takes it over, commandeers it. That'd be even better. Something that just grabs it and or traps it and brings it back. Then you know exactly everything about it. Well, not everything, I guess, but way more than you know about it if you're just blowing it up or whatever, you know.
Yeah,
Bobcat,
there's also a side
freaking
of it too
laser
where-
beams. Sorry.
well, you want to kind of like what's the word? If you want to get as much intelligence on it as possible, it actually may be in the best interest to let it float around while you can kind of like triangulate its position and get more information about what it's actually doing before you take it down. So maybe that's part of the reason for hesitation. Plus, if you shoot it down, you run a good chance of like not being able to recover or salvage any kind of information that could be helpful. You know, if this is to be a threat to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe, you know, Biden's admin just made some drones and are flying them up in the sky, and we're paying attention to an absolute nothing burger.
Well, isn't I'm sure New Jersey's pretty heavily populated. Maybe they just got a new like drone group, you know what I mean? And they just like to fly them around and we're just seeing it, you know.
Well, in Jersey, I have put a map in the outline too. There's like many, like if you look at the location of this map, I think Mariano Falls when who posted it.
Yeah, I
There's
see it.
many what's the right word? Many like important facilities around New Jersey and Staten Island. There's like a bunch of things that are like all kind of close in this area. And I think one of the more important ones in there,
Took a drink at a bad time, sorry.
no, you're fine. I think one of the more important ones is there on that left-hand side which is the obviously Trump, golf club, Bedminster, and then the military base that's right there in Morris. This also kind of is taken with a grain of salt too, because I think this rides on the coattails of they're all doing this to target Trump. So again, this kind of go back to following the fact that they're like, Iran wants to assassinate Trump. It all kind of flows in that same kind of direction.
Yeah. Best of League of Legends player. I said, look at the Modern Warfare 2 game. Interesting. I haven't played Call of Duty in so long. I was a PUBG guy and Apex a little bit, but I'm a Rocket League dude now. So I haven't played the Call of Duties for a while, but let's see here.
Yeah, I like Apex.
Yeah, I tried to get back into it just the other day. It's advanced so much since the last time I played it, and I couldn't actually recover my account, so I had to start from like scratch. I have none of the characters unlocked or anything like that besides the basic ones they start you out with. So it was kind of, it was just like it wasn't as fun.
It's very sweaty.
Yeah, so you don't know how important New Jersey and New York is, and it's not to target Trump. See here, a couple new guys came in here. Thanks for stopping in here. The best of League of Legends, and then West Joe. He said if the drones were late paying their taxes, the government would have them by now.
Yeah.
They're making
Very
Venmo
true.
transactions. The IRS would be all the way up their ass.
Yep.
That's funny. So, yeah, there's definitely quite a few things here.
It's because the drone's here illegally. It crossed the border illegally. It's actually getting a sanctuary.
Yeah, that's what it is. It illegally crossed the border. So they're actually, if they're going to catch it, they would just release it and then give it a debit card with $5,000 on it. Offer it a hangar to park in.
Yeah.
Those drones got oil. Get them. That's funny.
On their way to Springfield, Ohio right now.
For real. That's funny stuff right there. So, let's see here. Laura Loomer posted breaking Congressman Jeff Van Drew just told Harris Faulkner that he has seen evidence that the New Jersey drones are Iranian and Chinese. He says a high-level and credible source told him Iran launched the drones from our eastern seaboard. See, the thing is, if they're flying them over our country, there's no risk of war or anything like that. It's straight up self-defense. You know what I mean? Just shoot them suckers down, and they'll understand. It's one of those things. You just got to toe the line. They're not towing it. I want to ask everybody, make sure you guys hit that like button, follow, and then if you're on X, make sure you repost this. Help us reach as many people as possible. Okay, so Gunther Eagleman also posted this. This is a time-lapse video of the drone spotted in New Jersey. The local and state officials have no answer. The federal government has now said it is and isn't Iran. What the F is going on? But this is pretty crazy.
Yeah, I wish I was more of like an aerial expert to be able to determine like which one of those, because it's like if everything there is like a drone, I mean that is kind of a little wild.
Some of those are jets, but some of these they only are lit up for part of the sky. I've seen a couple of them like show up in the middle, or like that one just showed up in the middle of the screen. I don't know. It's one of those things where, of course, there's air traffic that we know of in this. It's probably the ones that are like following the same path every time they're leaving or going to an airport.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could say that if they're coming from a ship, a mothership out in the ocean, but that one was rather low. I don't know. It's definitely questionable. The best League of Legends player asked, do you think the U.S. went into the Middle East for oil? That's not because the USA. That's not it. Because USA already has the oil in the 90s. I don't know. There's a lot of theories. It's just how conspiracy theory do you want to get into it? Was it for, well, I guess that was Afghanistan for the poppy fields, but I don't know. It might have just been a show of power. It might have been a part of our nation building initiative. There's a lot of things.
Yeah. It's hard to get into the Middle East without getting into territory that YouTube doesn't appreciate.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't for a second believe that the U.S. went into the Middle East for oil. A lot of this has its connections with empire building, like what he said with nation building, maintaining control. Obviously, a lot of stuff gets backed up by the fact that we point weapons. That's what backs our dollar bill. When you point a weapon at every other country and you say use these dollar bills, obviously not every country, but a lot of them in the Middle East, it also continues the forever wars. That's a portion of it as well. Hollowing out our youth, making sure our military gets voted out. I mean, they turned them gay here in the last recent years, but there's a lot of moving pieces there. But specifically, a lot of it is directed in the position of maintaining a military industrial complex so that we have a continual need in large churning industry, without getting too esoteric. That's probably where I'll leave it.
Yeah. I will say in the 90s when we went into Desert Storm, I think that was, honestly, it was weird. I remember that as a kid. And we were initially we're getting all these videos of like our newest missile technology. I remember in particular a video of a missile that went into the top of a building and went down multiple stories into the center of the building, and then it exploded. So it penetrated multiple floors, and then it exploded. I remember seeing the fallout of like we pretty much took out all their roads, took out all like any little strip of anything that you could land or take off a jet from was pretty much demolished. And they said that they did that because Iraq was trying to invade Iran, I think was the original take of it from my lifetime. I'm sure there's parts of that goes back. But it seems like we've just kind of perpetually been over there ever since.
Yeah, well, a lot of this stems from someone who's currently in power right now. I can remember watching, or at least not at the time, but I remember just this is about even like 5 or 6, 7 years ago, even when Netanyahu came over to Congress and banged his hand on the table. He argued that these countries had weapons of mass destruction. I think that Donnie Brooke is pretty accurate there with it being all biblical warfare. A lot of this is even what's the right word for that? Eschatological. I might be saying it wrong. But the backing of like why these wars and why the tensions are so tense is because they're like ideological, right? Like we're like obviously they're fighting for like not territory. I guess it's like it's not obvious. Because a lot of war and conquest previously is fought because it's like you have something and I want it in terms of like territory, in terms of resources like or access to the sea. You have these harbors, we can't do that. Things like even the Crusades, right, winning back the Middle East, not the Middle East, but the Greek area. That's why it was called the Dark Ages. They lost access to a lot of those harbors that would have helped them, enlighten them. But when it comes to having 3 of the largest religions in the world all oppose each other for specific reasons of backing of what they believe, it puts a whole new level to it, right? And so these people will do these things even without wanting a resource. They do it because they deeply believe in it.
Yeah. I see Chadwick Puffington, he corrected me there. It was Iraq invaded Kuwait. I knew I was saying it wrong when I said Iran because I remember it being a littler state, a littler country, smaller country than Iraq. So yeah, that's right. They had invaded Kuwait. But back then, Iran wasn't perceived as the bad guys, if I remember correctly. Let's see here. Bunker buster is what they called those missiles that went into the building. Thank you for that, Tix Bomber. Conway Yest said I was a kid when the Gulf War went down too. My grandma came to visit, knowing I liked baseball cards, and brought
Cool
me a
name.
Gulf War trading cards. I still have them to this day. Oh, that's awesome! I remember those cards. I had those that Desert Storm. Did you have like Norman Schwarzkopf and stuff like that? I remember that was like the big dude at the time. But yeah, I had those too. Those were actually really cool. I wonder
Thank
if
you,
they're
Chris.
worth anything nowadays, especially if you have the set. I like the name Conway Yest.
Yeah, it's a great name. And cool seeing more people show up in here too. We appreciate you
Yeah.
guys being here.
Yeah, that's dope. Let's see here. Yeah, he took up the tabernacle of Moloch.
Yep.
Let's see here. Sorry, I was reading through some.
Yeah. House is House is probably more intelligent than I am, to be honest with you.
I know he's like our encyclopedia that corrects us when we're wrong, so I appreciate that. With the open invite still, by the way, if you ever wanted to come on, I know you said something about maybe after the new year, but like I always say, if you're on Discord, make sure you click that link and join the Discord. We can coordinate a little better in there, or you can follow on X, but the Discord seems to be my X is getting a little full in messages, at least.
Yeah, Mr. Popular over here, guys.
Well, what's cool is I was actually, the reason why the show was late today is Dan McKnight, a guy we had on probably 2 weeks ago now. He's doing big things. He's trying to I'm gonna mess it up, but he's basically trying to make sure that the Senate declares war before we actually send troops over into war, pertaining to specifically the National Guard. And like currently, when, like, for instance, I can't remember where the National Guard was stationed, but the Hurricane Helene wasn't able to get help from their local National Guard because they were actually out of the country, if I remember correctly. That was just like one instance. But I was texting back and forth with him, because he got an invite. He's been summoned to Mar-a-Lago to meet with Tulsi and Pete Hegseth and somebody else. I can't remember their name. I told him to tell him we said hi, but it's pretty cool.
We joke that it's like, yeah, Dan's got to thank us. Trump obviously saw our podcast and was like, we like that Dan guy. Let's invite this guy to Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, we got to get him down here. He's doing big things. Thanks to the Jar Openers podcast. No, but anyways, if you don't know who Dan McKnight is, check him out over on X. He doesn't have like a bunch of followers or anything, but you'll recognize him if you'll know you're on the right account. And I just thought that was cool. Anyways, but yeah, like I was saying, I was just texting back and forth with him. He was telling me what was going on, and then I'm like, oh crap, I gotta get off here. The show's starting.
Yeah. I was waiting. I was like, World might have fallen asleep, dude. I might have to start up OBS and go solo.
Yeah, right. No, I appreciate that. House Leotardo said you guys aren't wrong, just adding a little on top. Man, that's awesome. That's what I love about the chat and having everybody interact with us, because you can set us straight whenever I'm saying the wrong country and stuff like that. You can make sure that I'm on the right track, because I'm not intentionally trying to mislead anybody. Neither of us are.
Yeah, crowdsourcing the truth over here.
Angry Yeti said, so what you're saying is we should DM you harder on X. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, soft lock his X account. Can't even use it because you're getting so many DMs.
Yeah. A good problem to have, I guess. I don't know. Not when you're not monetized.
Yeah.
I did get approved, since we're talking about it, I did get approved to not write them, but to see the community notes ahead of time and assess and rate them and stuff like that ahead of time. So once I rate so many, then I'll actually be able to write my own community notes. So I'm looking forward to that. That'll be cool. Chris said we had a nice conversation on the Coof today in the second half of the show on Rumble. Yeah, guys, Chris Stockham, he's another one of our guys. He has a Rumble channel and a YouTube channel. He's starting to sway a little bit more towards Rumble, but you guys can check him out too. We try to support each other around here. That's what we have to do. We got to support each other, and if we don't, then we're all stuck.
Yeah, you can also find him on our Discord. He posts his stream links in there too.
Yeah. Tix Bomber said crowdsourcing the truth. So polls in chat now. Do like Tim
Yeah.
Pool. 1 like equals 1 Trump. What was it? I don't know. Fight. I think that was one of the things he had posted in there.
Let me see.
1
Can
like
I?
equals 1 Trump fight.
I don't know if I can do a poll from StreamYard. I can do it from YouTube though. I remember how to do it.
You know, I haven't seen TNT tonight. One of our regular guys. He must be busy. So I got this one here from the New York Post. It's probably going to be a little repetitive, but mystery New Jersey Jones. It's John Bones' cousin. No, mystery New Jersey drones are coming from the Iranian mothership offshore. Congressman suggests should be shot down. So let's see here. I'm going to tell you the real deal. Okay, so yeah, it is all the same. I just pulled this up earlier and I wasn't sure exactly. Sometimes numerous objects have been spotted flying in formation. They've begun appearing across parts of New York too. Oh, I didn't hear that part. So yeah, I mean, if you're giving them an inch, why wouldn't they start moving over to New York? It's right there, and go a little bit further in, like Pennsylvania maybe, and other things like that. See if they can eventually work them over DC. Some messed up stuff. Oh, Bobcat said he saw TNT earlier. Okay. Let's see here. Trust the science. Yeah, not the one they silenced. Yeah. Hey, girl.
I'm making a poll right now.
Oh, that's
It'll
cool.
be on mine. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So
We'll get an idea of who thinks are behind the drones.
So let's go into this here. Owen Schroyer, what's really going on with these Iranian drones? This is 8 minutes long. I don't know if we'll play the whole thing, but I like the InfoWars guys over there. So let's play a little bit of this. See what Owen has to say about it.
So I'm sure by now you have heard about the story of drones being spotted off the East Coast. Now they are being referred to as Iranian drones. Even though this has not been confirmed, this is what people are speculating, specifically now members of Congress. So let me explain how we got here, the real story, and then what I think is going to actually come of this. So for over a week now, this has actually been going on. It's just now hitting the news cycle now that they're reporting it as Iranian drones, and members of Congress are speaking to mainstream news outlets. But this has been developing for over a week. Drones being spotted off the East Coast, Philadelphia, New Jersey, New York City. In fact, just recently, as many as 50 drones were spotted at one time off the coast of New Jersey. 50 drones. Now, these are not like your consumer drones that you and I can go buy that you can film stuff on. These are military style drones as big as an automobile. So for gathering intelligence, for spying, you might say, for navigating through land. These are military style drones, not the type of drone you or I might go purchase and then fly around to get HD footage or shoot a report with. So this has been going on for over a week. Now it's being reported they're following Coast Guard watercraft around. They're hovering around Trump's golf course at Bedminster, and over 50 at one time. So dozens of these things. Who knows how many there really are. But now it's getting bigger headlines because they're following Coast Guard boats around. They're outside of Trump's golf course, and everybody can see them. And there's so many of them now, it's ridiculous. Now, the Coast Guard is controlled by the Department of Homeland Security. That's Alejandro Mayorkas. Remember that name. And they're told they have no protocols. They don't know what to do. Their boats are getting followed around. They're getting no answers. And they have no protocols on how to deal with drones. Now, that's important because that will play into what the final conclusion is, or at least what I see. Now, let's be clear. The U.S. government is claiming they have no idea what's going on. That is a lie. Now, the local governments, local law enforcement, the people actually on the ground probably don't know what's going on. They don't know whose drones they are. They've been asking around. They're not getting any questions answered by the government, but they have gone on record and say they're not ours. They're not Americans. They're not citizens. They're not the U.S. government's. At least that's what they're being told. Now, the U.S. government knows exactly what's going on here. Let's be perfectly clear. These drones are not flying around in U.S. airspace without them knowing what is going on. They might be keeping the people on the ground, on the water, in the Coast Guard, ignorant about what they know, but they know exactly what's going on. Don't fool yourselves. So now that it's being reported that they're Iranian, which is not confirmed, it's picking up news. Let me explain what's going on here. Mossad is sharing intelligence with our intel agencies, who are then going to members of Congress and saying, we have intelligence that these could be Iranian drones. Now, keep in mind, we do have an agreement with other intelligence agencies like Mossad to share foreign intelligence, and they can even spy on Americans. So Israel right now is going for broke, land grabs, regime changes, everything they can do before Trump gets into office. And they also own much of our Congress through AIPAC. So they are setting this up. They're calling and sharing this intel with U.S. intelligence agencies, who are then giving it to members of Congress, who are then going on mainstream news outlets saying these are Iranian drones, even though they can't confirm it. Now, let's say they are Iranian drones, or any foreign country. China, which flew a spy balloon, multiple spy balloons over the homeland multiple times. If that's true, then what in the hell is Alejandro Mayorkas doing at the Department of Homeland Security? What is he doing? He's doing nothing. All eyes should be on Alejandro Mayorkas right now. This man perhaps has done more destruction than any other man to the United States of America ever in this country's history. Oh, gee, Owen, that's saying a lot. Well, wait a second. He has facilitated an invasion of 20 million people, including terrorists and murderers, probably spies as well, children being sex trafficked in, fentanyl being trafficked in and killing people. Now, apparently, Mayorkas just lets anybody fly spycraft over our country. China, Iran, who knows? Why is Mayorkas silent? And why aren't there members of Congress saying that Mayorkas needs to be investigated for what's going on with this foreign aircraft flying around for the last 4 years?
Good question.
Now, let's get to the conclusion here. The U.S. government knows exactly what's going on. I would actually reason to guess that these are U.S. drones, and they're doing exercises, or they're doing some sort of a response to maybe some other critical intel that they've got dealing with the East Coast. I think the U.S. government knows exactly what's going on, and this is likely U.S. government drones, and they're just not telling the people for whatever reason. So that's what I actually think is going on. And what I think is going to result from this, either intentionally or unintentionally, because it's already being called for, is more regulation on drones. That's what the U.S. government wants. And by the way, this has been a big story in the Middle East, specifically in the Gaza Strip, where the Israeli government is banning drones. They don't want you to have any access to the sky, and they certainly don't want you to be able to fly HD cameras over any of their operations. So there will be legislation and proposed legislation to regulate drones, even down to the consumer level. And so expect that to enter the conversation immediately, and bills might even be introduced before we go to the next Congress. It might not be till the next Congress. It could be in this Congress, but that's what's going to result from this. More legislation, more regulation on drones, consumer level drones, because the American people, the citizens of this country, we can't have access to that type of technology. It's too dangerous, and the U.S. government needs to rein that in. You can't go buy a drone and fly it anywhere you want. How dare you think you can do that, you dirty American? So that's ultimately where I think this is going, either by design or just organically with all of this going on. So here's what the bottom line is that you need to understand about this story. Dozens of drones have been spotted off the East Coast for weeks. Nobody's done anything about it. The U.S. government is not giving anybody any answers, and they're just flying at will. And people are saying, what the hell's going on? The Iran story is likely a Mossad intelligence operation to just get the Americans against Iran. And then maybe Israel has some plans for Iran. And then they can come back and say, oh, look, see what we did to your enemies? We're so great. Don't you love us? Send us more money. Support us. Love us. And then ultimately, they're going to pass legislation on drones, consumer level drones, out of this story. So that's what you need to know. With any other updates, you follow me right here.
Yeah, if I have some things right off the top, I agree with Chris right there. Mayorkas needs to be put on trial. I think it's well beyond that, right? I think we have more than enough evidence that Mayorkas needs to be tried for not only just any involvement here. He needs to be tried for sedition against the country. I think that can very well move into the territory of treason as well. I think he needs to be to the fullest extent of the law. That guy is an absolute it's insane how he's in power.
Yeah.
The second thing there too, I find curious. Wasn't even thinking about that, but obviously him seeing what's going on in Israel regarding drone and regulation. If that was to actually kind of carry over here into America, I doubt that's going to fly. And you got to think too, like the consumer market for drones is already kind of proliferated a bit, right? There's different makers. People have different versions of them. People fly 'em when they go hiking. People do it for like camera tech and YouTube videos. Like no one's going to be happy about getting their drones taken away. Let alone, I doubt that this singular instance with the drones is enough to drum up support for people to be like, you know what, like I probably shouldn't own my drone anymore. Like here, daddy government, like here, take it back. You know what's best for me. That's BS, dude. And again, maybe that's not the reason why, because I can see right through it so very easily, and I don't see that being a possibility. People wouldn't go for that.
Yeah. I don't know. Mayorkas is some of these people that are in leadership, Biden won't fire anybody, so they pretty much feel free to do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah. Mayorkas needs insert what gets me banned on YouTube here. And
Tix Bomber said, crap, they said they're not U.S. drones, government drones, so they're probably U.S. government drones.
Very true.
Sorry,
I think we got enough
there's
votes
TNT.
in. Oh, go ahead.
I'll say there's TNT. Said, sorry, I'm late. I got a new job. Been living off savings for 13 months. I'm excited. Oh, that's cool, TNT. Do you mind if I ask what you're doing? If you do, just say, shut up. I don't know. Just curious. You can tell me to shut up, dude. Get into my private things.
Yeah, no, congratulations, Live TNT.
Yeah, that is awesome. Said, look what people did during the pandemic. Yeah.
Yeah, I do see that as well. I see that argument too. People would do things when they're scared. Part of the downfall about 82% of American people being absolute sheep. That's probably the best way to describe it. But I was going to say, looks like the polls in. I got a few votes in on this one's like 10 minutes old. There are 0% of people think that Iran is behind the drones. The leader is actually China at 44%. Second is Biden admin, and third is Ben Shapiro's favorite country. So it looks like we got more people thinking that China is behind the threat.
Okay. And I asked one on my chat there while that was playing. Got 7 votes, and 86% said, I asked, are the drones really from Iran? And 86% said no. So I think the consensus is not buying the mainstream narrative.
Yeah, right. House says China hacked all of our intel agency encrypted messages. I guess they need an Iranian drone distraction. Yeah.
Chris, I'm in both chats. Yeah, I noticed that. That's cool, Chris. I appreciate you. That's a good way to support us. If you guys got like do what Chris is doing, and if you guys got multiple devices, load the show up on all of them.
Just train your internet out. I was going to say the what's kind of falling out of the news cycle with this, and something that I kind of said, probably about a month or two ago, was, I think that we're getting close to the point where once you have the lame duck presidency, Trump's going to get in. What better time will China have to move on Taiwan? And we've seen it, like they've been escalating like crazy. I believe they sent even a lot more vessels over into the Taiwan. I don't know if you say Taiwanian, um,
Taiwanese.
not airspace, but their sea, their area. And so they've obviously been doing bomb testing like super nearby, right? They'll be shooting them off their coast into this to the ocean space nearby Taiwan, all in kind of like the saber rattling. And if Taiwan goes, that does threaten a lot of things here in America, specifically, obviously with the microchips that they can make, and how few and far between our sources here in America are for all of that too. But obviously, if we go to war with China, that will threaten our ability to trade with them freely. So it's not even just what we'll lose with Taiwan. I think people, if they paid attention to during the pandemic, I believe this became a topic, which was over the counter drugs, OTC, all things that you can kind of get, whether it's Advil, aspirin, Tylenol, acetaminophen, ibuprofen, all those things that kind of fall in that bracket. Probably a few others I'm not thinking of, are majority made in China. So you would expect that OTC would just jump through the roof if all of a sudden something were to threaten us. We would have to actually be, whether it was a actual act of war, or an actual, we were in war with China, but if things were to be threatened on that level, we would see some actual consequences here in the States that would affect everyday people.
Yeah, for sure. I saw TNT Cycles you posted here. Couldn't they put an EMP on a drone and F us all up? Yeah, you'd think. I mean, you can do some damage with a lot of things on a drone. The drone itself, Eddie Haskell. I love the name.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I had my best friends lived across the street, and my dad always called the kid Eddie Haskell. He's like, man, he just always seems to be scheming on something. But the head of the FBI just resigned. He's behind the drones, Project Bluebeam, like that.
Yeah, Project Bluebeam's kind of off topic, but kind of wild, right? That's kind of what sent Tucker Carlson on that kind of spiral. Not, I wouldn't say spiral, but what kind of separated him from like a lot of other mainstream publications, based on the way that he kind of viewed things from more of a spiritual perspective. Now, obviously, he kind of fumbled over his words and isn't like, he's kind of like new to the faith, really, if that's the best way to describe it. But based on what the leakers had told him, what he'd seen from the documents himself, he kind of reached the conclusion that what he's seen from it so far is actually that, for a long time we've had some relationship with whatever these beings are, that are like UAPs. I think that's the right terminology.
Yeah.
And that they're not from other planets. In fact, like they actually reside elsewhere here on Earth as an entity. And that those kind of things are what pushed him further to view things from a good versus evil perspective, and view things more biblically, right? Like it's like a battle for souls, battle for spirituality, battle for just like the heart of people and the country and the earth.
Well, I've always wondered. Well, not always, but I've begun to wonder. Could the UAP phenomenon be? We'll get a little conspiracy UFO-ish for a second. The tale of Atlantis, a super ahead of its time technological city that sunk into the ocean, essentially sunk into the ocean, I believe. Makes me wonder if Atlantis was literally where the source of some of these things that we see coming in and out of the ocean from. It's not actually aliens, it's humanoids, ancient humans, earthlings with advanced tech, and now they have bases set up under the oceans. I don't know. Makes me wonder. Then also, to your point, could just be simply good versus evil, demons
Right.
and angels. If you're a Christian, you're actually a rather supernatural. You believe in the supernatural, and it could just be as simple as that. But it makes I kind of like the theory that it's the ancient Atlantis civilization that's flying around all this super tech.
Yeah.
Maybe they're on Antarctica.
Yeah, well, if you want to even get even more crazy with it, I know we kind of talked off. I think we talked off air, and that's probably a couple weeks ago, talking about like all the things that kind of stem from like flat Earth theory, and like the original maps and like um the man, I always forget what it's called, the firmament, and
Yeah.
its actual kind of existence in the Bible as well.
Yeah.
The Nephilim, things that exist in the book of Enoch, things that are kind of like honestly super rarely talked about,
Yeah.
but definitely have like, that maybe aren't in the Bible as we have it, but definitely have historical perspective and historical credibility based on the authors who wrote it. I think even Native Patriot was somebody who posted like 2 days ago talking about the instance in Afghanistan where they apparently they took out a ginger giant.
Yeah.
And it took multiple guys, military soldiers to bring it down. So there's a lot of things that kind of point to that there is some kind of like it's not mythology, that all these things are actually kind of like all wrapped together. They have reality. There's a basis for it. And I mean, if you saw, we all saw how easy it was to convince people to go take what's
Yeah.
uh,
Health procedure.
yeah, well, just to get something to protect you from COVID, right? We saw how easy it was that you could just tell people that and they would go and do it.
Medical
I
procedure.
imagine, you stretch those things to harder to understand, harder to visualize, principles and concepts. You can tell
Mhm.
people anything, right? It's easier to believe that. It's easier to believe nothing than it is to believe something.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I like to entertain some of these, fringe ideas because if anything, we've been taught over the last few years, it seems like, is that, what they're telling us isn't the reality. And like you were saying, um, about the firmament, that's a whole flat earth thing as well. And I like to look in. I went down the flat earth rabbit hole, and I like the concept of it. I don't even necessarily, I'm not saying that I believe in it. I don't know. I don't necessarily know what I believe as far as if the earth is flat or not, but I like the concept of the earth being flat under a firmament because it 100% suggests that there is a builder, aka creator, God. And I've expounded that idea as so far as to think, well, why wouldn't they just tell you if it was true? And then it comes back to that good versus evil battle. And if they can make you feel like you're a speck on a planet, in a solar system, in a galaxy, light years away from the next nearest galaxy, where there's billions of other galaxies, it makes you feel really insignificant and alone, which would be the opposite of we live on the one thing that God created. You know what I mean? That you're way more
Yeah.
significant in that.
No,
So
I think that's like the best lens to view it from. I'm not someone who's like concrete in either or actually.
yeah,
I've always kind of like debated that. The more I kind of see things that point to it and things that point to the opposite. What I do know for a fact is we definitely didn't land on the moon. That's been one of the most insane staged things I've ever seen in my entire life. That one is one I would put a bit more of credence behind. But I
mhm,
saw that you flashed that thing from Donnybrook. I did catch that. I actually didn't end up putting it in the outline, but I did see that. I forget what that article was from, but they essentially like had like slipped it in where they were talking about some kind of quantum principle. But that it it spoke to the fact that there is multiple dimensions, which I think, may not be like the multiverse what we think of with Marvel, Marvel universe, but could be the fact that there is some kind of like layering realities on top of each other, things that we can't see. I mean, we can only see the visible light spectrum. There's a huge range of visual things that the human eye can't see.
yeah, we're limited
So
to our
maybe there's
senses.
like more to it than that.
Right. I heard a thing about the dimensions from Alex Jones years ago, and it was actually kind of cool. He was, I'm gonna butcher it probably, but like within our three, we live in a three-dimensional like realm or society. We live and see in 3D, right? But in our 3D, there is a 2D dimension. It's like a comic strip on a piece of paper. That's the 2D dimension in our 3D reality. But and he asked the question, he posed the question, does hypothetically, of course, it's just a piece of paper, but would a two-dimensional reality even understand that it exists in a three-dimensional reality? I don't know. It made me start thinking, you know what I mean? Like, is it
Yeah.
even aware of the three-dimensional reality around it? And so then I'm like, well, I don't, if that's true, then if that, then we wouldn't be aware of the fourth dimension around us or whatever. So
Yeah, well,
I
all of
was
like
joking
the
at deer camp one day. I was joking at deer camp, telling the guys about it, and I said, you know what? I'm bringing a deer, a big buck in from the fourth dimension, and I was just messing around. You know what I mean? And tomorrow I'm gonna see a big old buck in the field in front of me, whatever. Dude, it wasn't 30 minutes into opening day, a giant buck. I got him on the wall. Was
he
in the middle of the field.
manifested it.
Bro, he was in the middle of the field. Like I don't know what to make of it, to be honest with you. I'm not saying like I didn't manifest. I don't actually believe in that, but you know, you hear like the crystal people talking about that. But no joke, dude. I was sitting there in the stand, alert, opening day, morning, you know, sitting there from the dark to when the daylight comes up, and 30 minutes in, I noticed this big buck is just standing perfectly still right in the field about 120 yards away. And I got him, dropped him around the spot, nice and humane. But it was just weird, like, because I said that the night before, and then there it was. You know what I mean? So it's just like, what the heck just happened?
Yeah. Maybe not even
But
manifesting, but premonition, right? You like had
right,
the feeling you're like, I'm going to do that tomorrow, aren't I? Hit a
right,
vision.
yeah, exactly. I was telegraphing it.
But I
No,
was
but
just gonna go
it
off
was just
what
funny.
you're
It was just funny because of the story I told the guys at deer camp and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, because I was just telling them about the Alex Jones theory. But go ahead. Sorry.
no, I was gonna pick up off of your Alex Jones theory. You know, it's like the something that's so outside of our ability to comprehend. Um that also follows suit with also Christian faith, right? You know, it's like for it's not for us to know. There's many references to like humans only having a spare sliver of a grasp, right? And I think it's also this is exemplified for a bunch of different reasons, though. To Job, right? The story of Job. He eventually is like gets close to the breaking point, right? After having so many things taken from him, and he's like, you know, he's like, I just physically don't understand. Like, why are you doing this? Can you show me? And I'm probably butchering that pretty poorly. Um, but you know, it's just like just for a glimpse, God's like, okay, like here, you want to see this? And then Job is just like, I, you're right. Like, I have no idea what I just saw. Like, kind of like that idea of something is so much more powerful, so much more knowing than you that you like physically couldn't grasp it, even if it was given to you.
Hmm.
And so I think that kind of falls in line too with like the four dimension, right? Like we can look at a 2D world and we can see it and manipulate it, like kind of like as if we were the gods, right? We're the creators of the 2D dimension, like we make the comic books, and then stretch that to what would a 40 dimensional figure, such as something like God, our creator, be looking at us and doing. And like we obviously have no concept or idea of like we're what's being manipulated, right?
Yeah.
Or what's being created.
Yeah. And TNT cycles with our comic relief. What did you do with your flute at deer camp? Wouldn't you like to know?
You did what in your cup?
But this one time at deer camp, we lit a couch on fire. It was actually glorious.
That's funny.
We actually have some great deer camps. I got some great deer camp stories. I'm not going to get into them. Let's see here. Maybe we can manifest things from other dimensions. You got to be on the right frequency, ride the right vibes, man. That guy said, "Free Luigi, the hero who pisses himself when he goes to jail." Right? You know, it's funny. The funny thing about Luigi Mangione, the assassin in the healthcare CEO, he's got this whole following, and we've talked about it before, of the these women on the left that essentially, you know, are throwing themselves at him. You know, they're fantasizing about him and stuff like that. And the rumor is the dude is actually incapable of having relations due to his back injury. So that sounds just right in line with the man that the women that the women of the left, the Democrat women, would go after. And here, I got this right here. It's the New York Post article. Let me move this over. Luigi Mangione's back pain was so intense that he couldn't be physically intimate with anyone, former landlord says. So sucks to be you, ladies.
One of the best takes I saw on this was like, why does this landlord know this?
She was trying to get paid, like a
No,
lady. Yeah,
no, I
yeah,
see the House Leotardos cracks me up, dude. You know?
Mhm.
Yeah, if my thing didn't work anymore, I'd be pissed too.
Yeah.
Well, and one thing that I also think too is it's like this guy couldn't have relations, but then like he supposedly rode a bike up, walked up, calmly did this, and like left. It's like I don't know. Like I'm still on the side of like something feels entirely off with this whole story.
Mhm.
And then the guy who you had the comment up earlier, like he did. There was a photo that showed that he had pissed himself. Um, but I'm someone who like will never believe the government. Like I got to see like 10,000 sources before I ever believe like what a cop or what a government official says. So who's to say like they didn't dump water on him in an attempt to like humiliate him and could rough him up in there too? Like, so it's hard to tell. There's a lot of things, a lot of foul play can be here.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Tell them about Jesus said God said he would send a strong delusion for those that want to believe. Um, believe a lie, excuse me. He won't force people to believe in him. Here is truth. The Lord Jesus died for your sins and rose on the third day. Yes, sir. 100%
Yep.
agree.
Yep.
So thank you for saying that.
Yeah. Perfect name too. Tell him about Jesus.
Yeah.
Reminds me of my good friend and pastor Wayne Harris.
Oh. Let's see here. Tix Bomber said they need to say 3D printed gun at least 16 more times in each article. Yeah, I know, right? There's so much hypocrisy in this story, right? They're championing this vigilante while at the same time condemning Daniel Penny, who they're calling a vigilante, who is less of a vigilante in my opinion. He was his situation was a random, unplanned act in defense of other people. He didn't, unlike Mangione here, plot the assassination of another person and then ultimately commit murder, allegedly, if Mangione is the guy, right?
Yeah. Native Patriot posted a couple of things pointing out that he doesn't think it's the guy. Specifically, I think we might have it on. We had it on here yesterday. But if you look at the still frame that was shown to the public, it was the one that was kind of like from an upward area view, kind of looking down on him when he pulled his mask down and he's smiling. One of the workers at the McDonald's said that they recognized him by his eyebrows. But what's not pictured in the photo of the downward view is you can't really see his eyebrows. And better yet, the photo that was taken of him when he was at McDonald's, he's wearing a beanie that's covering his eyebrows. So there's like a bunch of holes, like even in like that, the whole McDonald's scenario thing is I think where the most holes are, like how they got him.
Yeah, and now I don't have it pulled up, but they're trying to decide who, if anybody's going to get the reward money for turning him in.
Yeah, who's making money off this, man?
Right.
House Lead says nerve damage. Yeah, well, I'm sure there's probably like you can walk and like move and stuff, and maybe it is like maybe repetitive motions of a specific kind is like too painful, like impossible to do. Something along those lines, or he's too stiff to as well.
Yeah.
But who's to say he just doesn't lay there and let someone do some work?
True.
That was one of my first thoughts. Like, it's not over, dude.
Right. Chris said they're saying he had 3 screws in his spine. It looks like 4 from this X-ray we got right here. If this is him.
Well, those are massive screws, by the way. Like those are huge.
Yeah, it looks like they're all connected with like a bar or something going through right here. So
yeah, and it's all in the lumbar too. Those are like all of your very, very bottom. It looks like even part of his tailbone is attached because that's what we're seeing there is his hips too.
oh yeah, it looks like the tailbone right there.
That's like the worst part of your back to actually have damaged. People can generally manage like the upper back area. It's just like you generally get asymmetrical with your shoulders depending on how you pain manage and like move. But the lower back on the hip is like that's brutal. I mean, that's something that's really, really hard to come back from.
TNT said 3.5-inch framing screws. By the way, I saw you said you're a union carpenter. That's cool, man. Hopefully you got some benefits and stuff like that from that. Can't control his bladder. What did Luigi get caught doing? The CIA used him to get. I'll put that on screen. What did the Luigi get caught doing that the CIA used to get him to go along with this? Right. Doctor needs to be flogged. But
Yeah, more than likely was being groomed.
you
Somebody
know, he
who obviously was being spied on, saw he was a bit more radical, someone who was a bit more willing to probably do something. If you were to, for argument's sake, say he did it, he was behind it. He
yeah,
probably did have like that nudge, similar
yeah,
to maybe not in the same light as like the Gretchen Whitmer story, because that was almost entirely propagated by federal agents. But this one being more so like just a nudge right here and there, and like, oh yeah, well, I know where the CEO, like, he walks on this sidewalk sometimes, and like maybe smaller things like that that kind of led to it kind of culminating to what it was.
yeah, for sure. And something I noticed here from this picture. Remember, I made the point last show about if I did something like this and I was all clean shaven, I would let my face grow out like immediately. I'd cut my hair, do whatever. I mean, I think that's just pretty typical of what anybody would do. And then we can see here, and I said, um, a guy with a dark hair like that would probably be able to grow his beard out pretty thick and change his appearance like rather quickly.
Yeah.
My guess is this is probably just like a day or two worth of stubble that's come out of his face. And it doesn't make sense that like a week later he was still shaving and maintaining the same look. So a part of me thinks that this dude isn't the guy. I wonder if he's just trying to play like the patsy for the fame, be famous for a little bit, get thrown in jail, and then get released, and then you know what I mean, type of thing. Like, I don't know. It's so weird. Like, not even that he's taken the role for the CIA, like maybe Chris suggested. Um,
Wouldn't be the
but
first time.
that he's just in it for the straight up fame. And he kind of has nothing to lose. Maybe he can get a fat paycheck out of suing somebody for defamation for jumping to conclusions about him or something like that in the interim. I really don't know, but uh, just the guy seems to be too intelligent. He had what two diplomas or whatever from like an Ivy League school.
Yeah, masters and a bachelor's, both in computer science, I believe.
Right. And obviously there's difference between like book smarts and street smarts and all that, but I mean it would appear the dude had some kind of sort of intelligence, and you would think change your appearance would be something like pretty simple. Throw away the clothes, don't keep the weapon. Some of this is like too intentionally stupid for me to just buy the story. You know what I mean?
Well, what's funny is, well, it's not funny, but what's cool is we have a friend of mine coming on who is he's either a practicing physician now, or he's out of residency. He's been doing the whole 9 yards. He's been taking schooling for me in almost like a decade now, if not more. And he wants to talk about a bit more of a nuanced position regarding everything that's been highlighted because of this. And I think a lot of this is actually taking the heat off of what the United Healthcare was doing. And United Healthcare was doing illegal practices as a provider, the insurance company that it was, denying claims. No one's even talking about the fact that they were operating, illegal algorithms to deny claims that they otherwise should have honored. And that doesn't even touch upon the fact that they didn't disclose that they were being investigated until they had sold out and made millions of dollars before they left their shareholders holding the bag.
Yeah.
And so like that's like all of a sudden not even being talked about anymore. And I think there is a nuanced position to say here, maybe don't condone what he did, but there is a real problem in this country with how insurance providers not only operate and the way they provide coverage and honor coverage, but also the fact that many hospitals and physicians are beholden to what these providers do and say. And so there's a bit more kind of like a couple layers to this that gets a little bit deeper.
Yeah,
And
and
obviously he might have just been surface level angry about it.
right. And I believe kind of what you just broke down is kind of what we're seeing this support of him, what I'll call it the left or whatever, but what it's rooted in. I saw an argument today where this person Basically, it was on Pierce Morgan Uncensored. I'll probably make a video about it in the next couple of days. But this person took the position where she didn't have any uh like I'm losing the word, but uh disdain for this guy for what he did, any compassion for the victim, who's the United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, even knowing that Mangione was, lived more of a privileged life, because apparently the CEO Brian Thompson came from a like a middle class family. He didn't go to big
Come on
important
here.
colleges. He worked his way up through the system. He started out at lower levels, worked his way up through the system. He wasn't really gifted anything. He was a father, and these people have no compassion for the victim. Whereas uh, it's just it's part of that hypocrisy from the left, where they want to stand up for Jordan Neely, but then now they're on the side of the assassin. It's really weird. It's hypocrisy. But a CEO doesn't necessarily dictate if a policy is uh paid out or not. So I mean, bad practices and everything like aside, I think this was misplaced hatred. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying somebody else to target would have been better. But there's certainly better ways to handle this and raise awareness to the scenario. And it's rather despicable how some of these people are actually out here championing what Mangione did.
Well, to give a counterpoint to that, um, I think that there is some level of culpability on Brian Thompson, not for obviously specifically denying individual claims, but at least being a head or a head providing headship to a company that was doing a lot of that.
Yeah.
Specifically, into what Chris is saying here with a theory there, which I think is not still been not confirmed, but I've seen it multiple times now, that he was going to testify against Pelosi to avoid a bit of his accountability in regards to what he did illegally with his own company by pulling the rug on the shareholders. So there's Brian Thompson's again like kind of like the Pete Hegseth and the accuser situation. Like there's no like moral champion in this argument. It's really just like two different sides and how the story ended. And I think even if it wasn't you know, it wasn't the best way, definitely by far, to be a way to provide awareness to this. There is now going to be a moving story going forward that will continue to highlight the problems with insurance and how things are going on forward. So he might have even, people will probably celebrate him for being kind of like a martyr to that cause, but again, to not condone what he did, but it will have the consequence of people paying attention to it now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough situation. I mean, the guy's a father. He's got a young kid, or maybe multiple kids. He was shot in the back. He didn't even know it was coming. Um, I don't know. It's there's definitely better ways to go about it. That's for sure.
Yep.
And I wanted to say I had a thought about this earlier, and the fact that this was like a 3D printed gun, or the idea that it was. I don't know if it's a fact. I think it's a fact, but
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, it is.
that might be
good.
why he was loading the shells in one at a time, because they're not like the most smooth, operational, functional, weapons. I know it was using. I believe he was using subsonic, and had that big old giant silencer on there or whatever. But I wonder if it was also because it was 3D printed as well. Which, the whole 3D printed part is, as somebody that wants to protect the Second Amendment, and I feel like the left uses every single situation that they can to try to take away our guns. This is something that they'll champion before too long. Why we need to stop, the printing of 3D guns and start restricting that, or that noose a little bit more, or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's definitely a crazy situation. There's a lot to still be discovered, but unfortunately, it cost a man his life. And I still, like I said, I don't even know if this guy's the real assassin. I don't know. I guess we'll find out later. But Tix Bomber said he created a lot of practices they currently employ. Okay, I didn't know that. Still doesn't deserve what he got. My whole thing with it, he also followed up, said my whole thing with it, putting everything else aside, I'm pro. We should not be condoning murder. We should not be going back to the 19th century. We created a law and order for that very reason. And that's the thing about it was the CEO, Brian Thompson, was not convicted or even charged with any crimes. And so, like, they're calling him a criminal and all the things that he did, but yet we have a procedure. And so, you know, if you want to get somebody, that's the best way to get them is through the law and order process. Booster, if you have a suppressor. Yeah.
Yeah, take care, Chris.
Chris said got around. Okay, Chris. Yeah, man. Thanks for being here, brother. We'll see you in the Discord. Which, by the way, we have a Discord. The link is in the description. Would love to see some of you guys join us there, guys and gals.
Are we getting Pfizer ads on this, Angry Yeti?
What happened? You have ads enabled? Oh, yeah. I was trying to figure out something and I clicked the wrong button. I thought that it was gonna take me, so it won't be on for the next stream, and that's my bad, Angry Eddie. Sorry about that. I was putting that poll up and I was trying to actually figure out how I can gift subs. It lets you, or not subs, it lets you gift memberships to folks, like a couple a month, and I was going to try to gift those. And so I was clicking around on everything. I couldn't figure it out. And a lot of times you can click on something and then click back, and the ads thing didn't let me do that. So my bad on that, you guys. I apologize for the ads that are popping up. Yeah. I was trying to do something good, and oh, I can click delay ads now. Okay. Interesting. I put a 10-minute timer on it. I'll try to come back and make sure I click that again before the show is over. Yeah, I was trying to find it there, Angry Yeti. I don't know where it is now. I've messed with it before, and I thought it was from where I click on this little dollar sign, but it only is doing super stickers and super chats. Like I want to super chat myself, and that's not it. And engage with audience question and answers and start a poll. I don't know. Don't know.
I have no idea. Yeah, I'm not even monetized yet. No idea what any of that stuff would be. I'd probably have the same struggle.
I'll have to figure it out after the show. Whenever we were talking about doing the like I said, when we were talking about doing that poll, I got into this whole, I never even look at this screen, to be honest with you. The stream settings in YouTube, I always just look at StreamYard. But I started looking at this and then nope. Can't figure it out. So anyways, I'll work on that. You guys might have some popping up. I want to do it during a live though. Hopefully.
Yeah, Jeff Gaines saying, how did the assassin get the CEO's itinerary, know where he'd be? That's what I was saying. That's probably
that's
the
a
nudge.
good point.
That's like the nudge, right? That's the federal agent, the CIA, whoever's involved in this. We know it's not going to be this man by himself, being like, man, like, I'm pretty sure that one CEO just takes a stroll on this street to this street every single day, right? But probably worded it in a way where it comes off less conspicuous or suspicious.
Yeah, and then Tix Bomber added, another good comment. For someone with such a bad back injury as well, dude seemed to glide like Michael Jackson in the video. You know, some valid points.
Yeah. Well, again, I think a lot of this is done to, like, it's very like emasculating, right? Like posting all this information, having him piss himself too. It's kind of like a make you like really not like this guy and like make it easy to make fun of him too. But again, Luigi very well may have pissed himself, and Luigi may very well have a bad back. But is he the shooter? Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, JB just waiting for him to say that he ended up like Jeffrey Epstein. Yep. Exactly.
I'm sure that's coming.
There's a couple people that they're kind of on that wait list, I think, right now. P. Diddy, maybe. Some others, right? It'll probably be years yet
Yeah.
before I can even think of monetizing my channel. I'll have to invest a pretty penny into a highly customized setup due to back issues. Angry Yeti, yeah. You know what? I haven't looked at your channel. Maybe I did originally, but I don't think I have for a while. Do you have? Are you posting any videos?
We'll have to start doing reactions to our
Look
our
over
Discord
here. No
too.
need to look over there. Yeah. But yeah, Angry Yeti, he's in the Discord. So if you're there isn't much on it. Okay. I'm gonna say if you're in there, I did add that section for people to post to stream announcements, which I didn't announce this stream in there. Now that I look at it. Oh wait, maybe I did. Yeah, I did. Okay. It didn't click. Right. So I did in this one. But yeah, you can post your videos in there if you're putting out new stuff. And I know some tricks and stuff like that to kind of help you get a little bit more seen. So we can talk about that in the Discord as well. Because like I said, we like to help each other out. What kind of videos are you interested in making there, Angry Yeti?
I was thinking we should do a reaction stream, right? We'll get a couple people together. We'll like watch them all in a row and react to other people. Do like an expose.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, a lot of times when people subscribe to me and it's public and I see it, I'll like click on their profile, and if they're doing anything, I'll follow them back or I'll subscribe to them back. I'm not stingy with my subscriptions.
I did want to show one thing before we move off of Luigi.
Okay, I was gonna say we're about to move over to Brett Cooper, but if
Yeah.
you had something else, I'll.
Yeah, it's super short. And this is from Nick Sortor. So he said that Luigi Mangione just screamed. I don't know. I think that might be how you pronounce it. I have no idea. Just screamed to reporters and struggled with police as he was escorted into court. Holy crap! And so I'm assuming that's what he yells. I've not seen this with audio yet. I saw it without audio while I was working earlier today. But hopefully I shared mine. We'll go ahead and give it a play.
Yeah, I can hear it.
Oh my God! That is completely out of touch, and an insult to the intelligence of the American people and the lived experience.
He's moving all right for that bad back.
Yeah, that's one of the first things I noticed. Was he's moving. He was fighting it. But
So
it
what
looks
did he
like
say?
it does exactly that. It is completely out of touch and an insult to the intelligence of the American people. Something lived experience is what I heard. We can play that again though.
Yeah.
Probably put it like right here.
Completely out of touch, and an insult to the intelligence of the American people and the lived experience.
Okay. It is completely out of touch and an insult to the intelligence of the American people and life experience, I think he said. Does that sound right? Oh, you're quiet.
Insult to the intelligence of the American people and the lived experience.
Oh, your mic went out.
Oh shoot. I was gonna say, yeah, and something experience. I can definitely hear the experience part. I can't tell if it's lived or life experience or something else.
Yeah, maybe lived experience. Play it one more time. Lived experience, maybe Adam Price said.
Get back from the jump.
Out of touch, and an insult to the intelligence of the American people and the lived experience. Lived experience, and the lived experience. People and the lived experience.
I think I hear life experience, but it could be lived or life. It's same thing.
Maybe that Italian accent. We'll never know.
He shouldn't have hit that door when he said that. We can't make it out now.
Yeah, yes.
But,
I don't know if anybody said anything else.
That bam right before. Yeah, exactly. Is that the dude that saved 20% on car insurance? He is mayhem.
Yeah, the mayhem guy. If you don't get your back fixed, you could end up like me.
I don't think I've recognized you before. Welcome to the show here, Coy. Coy Kehoe. It's pretty cool. Bobcat Wolfenstein said, "That's the same hot, or that was some hot techno there for a second."
Yeah, I was trying to pin when he said
it. Somebody's gonna make a beat out of it now.
No, there probably already is. Yeah, but 8 million views on that. It's already blowing up.
Dang.
Yeah, but that's pretty much the updates we got for him so far. But yeah, I did want to move over to Brett Cooper, leaving the I almost said the official wire, leaving the Daily Wire, because I think that's pretty huge too, especially happened in the same vein as Candace Owens.
Right, and it's something that we touched on a couple weeks ago when I forgot his name all of a sudden. What's his name brought it up? He did that like 8-minute video talking about it. We played it on the channel.
What, with Owen Schroyer, who we just watched?
No, it wasn't Owen.
Ian
it was
Carroll.
Ian Carroll. Yeah, thank you. I'm like, how did I forget his name? I said it in the intro. What am I doing?
Yeah,
yeah, but he kind of broke the story. He said he had sources, and I actually I mentioned it in one of my videos, and somebody called me crazy in the comments saying, "She's not leaving and being replaced by her best friend. What are you talking about?" And I was just like, "Oh, that's the story that I heard. It's going around. I don't know." But Koi Kyo said, "How y'all cats doing?" And we're doing good, bro. We're just having some fun, talking about the news, right?
Yeah.
Brett Cooper's hot. No comment. I'm a happily married man.
Yeah, doing as good as I can be, brother.
Let's see here. Somebody get that.
I'm an American, really. So
decipher the word. What? Sorry, say that again.
I said I'm an American. It really doesn't get much better. They could be better, but I'd rather be American than anywhere else.
It's the only place I'll go. My wife trying to convince me to go to some Santa land in Denmark or something like that last night. And I'm like, it's gonna take some convincing for me to want to leave this place right now. Although it looks cool, and I would want to see the Northern Lights at some point.
Yeah, I'm the type of guy who's probably not gonna ever take a vacation out of country. Just ain't for me. It's plenty to see here. We got beaches.
Just go to California. It's like another world.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, if I wanted to play hopscotch where I had to avoid needles and poop in the streets, I'd like California to be like number one on that list.
I tell you what, one of the best vacations I've ever been on was at the Grand Canyon. We camped at a little site there, and like, I don't think we were like walking distance from the Grand Canyon. I think we probably were actually walking distance, but we had to get in the car for like 2 minutes to drive over to the parking lot. And it was awesome. It was like October, September. It was pretty cold at night, but we're straight up in a tent, and it was beautiful. I'd love to actually go and spend more time there, do some little hiking and stuff like that. Although now I'm getting fat. I don't know how much walking I can do.
Yeah, I've not been to the Grand Canyon. There's like another one that's like the second biggest, and it's called like the Royal Gorge, I believe. I think that's in Colorado.
Nice pyramids in Cali on the sidewalks.
Yeah.
Where was that at, you said?
I think it's in Colorado. I could be wrong. I went there when I was a lot younger. But they have like a tram system as well. They can like kind of like swing you back and forth across the big like cliffside such. And there's a bridge. It's pretty cool.
Cool.
Yeah, peace out, Angry Yeti.
Yeah, thanks for being here, man. Appreciate it. We'll see you in the Discord. He's one of the guys we were having a conversation with in the Discord today that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah. Feel free to come in and argue with everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, make sure you guys click that Discord. If you got the Discord account, make sure you join it. But I was gonna say what one other cool one. I love the mountains. I haven't been for a couple decades, it feels like, at least over 10 years. But I did go one time when the aspens were all gold. So like side of the mountains, like it's one of the trees on the mountains, and like the whole like mountainside would be like yellowish gold. It was really cool. It was a cool like perspective.
Right. No, I was going to say, it's just kind of give an intro to this one. For anybody who wasn't following us, our last couple episodes, I don't know if we covered it last episode or 2 ago now at this point, but Brett Cooper is leaving the Daily Wire. It was alleged that she had, or rumored rather, that she had a big disagreement with CEO Jeremy Boring, and there's a lot of similar traces to that being a result of how she disliked the way the Candace Owens situation was treated. That there was like kind of like bad blood in her, or a bad taste in her mouth ever since that issue. And so there's 2 videos really mainly. I wanted to just show not the whole episode here from Brett Cooper, but the intro portion, the first couple minutes where she actually kind of addresses it. This will be her last episode with the Daily Wire. Her producer, who was her maid of honor and best friend, is who is replacing her. I actually saw people trying to like say like congratulate that. If my best man who was at my wedding, who was like also one of my best friends, took over my position at a company that he knew I had a disagreement with, probably a lot more than the public knows.
Right.
Like that this doesn't feel right. He wouldn't, and I know him, like we'd be going and doing our own show, just like how she already is. She's already announced it. She has a new YouTube channel now, just called
Yeah.
Brett Cooper. And I would imagine my best friend would like follow me there, right? Like he would be
Right.
wanting to produce and like doing what he normally did, not trying to make his own kind of, namesake in the industry.
Right.
But there's
It's
2
one
videos really.
it's one thing. Oh, sorry, I was just gonna say real quick. It's one thing where if like Brett Cooper was like not leaving in a hostile manner, just look, I'm gonna leave. And I don't even say it's hostile, but it doesn't appear to be just like everybody's all, happy about it. And so it's like if she was moving on, like I'm gonna go solo with this. I don't need the Daily Wire anymore. Um, you know, it's one thing. It's like now I'd want you to hire my friend or whatever to replace me, and then put them in a better situation than they were. If it was like me electively leaving freely for greener pasture or something like that. But when it's
Yeah.
like you said, under like a disagreement type scenario or whatever, then it's like, what are you doing? Like it's like going out with your girlfriend like after you break up with her or something like that, or after you
Right.
know what I mean? It's just like, nah, there's certain just unwritten rules that you just don't go there.
No, I completely agree. I was gonna say there's 2 videos here really. This first one we'll just watch kind of like this intro portion
Okay.
of Brett addressing it, which is weird because Jeremy Boring cuts in the first couple minutes here and gives a statement as well, which is pretty odd. But then also Sovereign Broad actually clipped a portion of Ian Carroll talking about it in a little bit further detail. And so I think we're gonna just take a look at both of those and see where we're at with the situation.
Okay. Before you press play, I'll read these 2 comments actually. The Snow White movie she's in could somehow play into it as well, Tix Palmer said. And then Adam Price added, some people are saying that the Daily Wire might be running out of money. And I know, I can just tell you from my experience, I think it was right around it was around the Steven Crowder, Candace Owens stuff, where I decided I wasn't gonna be a monthly paying member for the Daily Wire. I was for a little while. I'm one that will buy the Quarterings coffee to support fellow, hard worker, you know what I mean, in the space. I'll buy the like I signed up for Timcast IRL, paying like $10 a month or whatever. I was on Daily Wire paying them $10 a month or whatever that was. I'm a member of Mug Club, right? I got me a mug right here. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm all for, supporting stuff that I agree with. I got a fish hook and a leader hanging from that. I had to make sure I didn't drop it. But I couldn't do the Daily Wire after that whole scenario anymore. And I feel like to Adam Price's point, I think a lot of other people they've fallen out of a lot of other people's favor. And it's people like Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles that are kind of the saving grace for the company, I believe, right now.
Yeah. And to add to Adam Price's point, I did see that Fox News was speculating about buying out the Daily Wire. So that could be hand in hand with they could be looking for a buyer and transfer of ownership if they were running out of money as well.
Elon should buy it instead.
Yeah, that would be funny actually.
The X Wire. But go ahead.
Man, I can't grab the stupid volume. Oh, I guess we're listening to max volume. Okay.
If it's too loud, I'll stage it on mine. I can adjust it.
Yeah, let me know. I don't know why.
I saw it.
Oh, there we go. Okay. I want to start out like right here. Okay, perfect.
Okay, there you go.
Hey guys, some of you have heard the rumors online, and the rumors are mostly true. Today, December 10th, will be my last day hosting the comment section and working for the Daily Wire. It is not true that I am being forced out. It was my own choice to leave. And believe me, this is bittersweet. I have had the most unbelievable 3 years helping to craft the show, building this community, and telling stories and sharing the truth every day. Through the comment section, you all have made me braver, more articulate, more thoughtful, more hopeful than I could have ever imagined. And I'm grateful that we spent this time together. And I'm grateful that the Daily Wire gave us a platform to grow this community. But at this point in my life, I am ready to take on a new direction, both personally and professionally. This means new challenges and new endeavors, which I will share with you soon. As for this show, the comment section will continue with the Daily Wire. My producer, Reagan, is taking over as host of the comment section, and I wish her and the Daily Wire all the best.
To comment on Tix Bomber there real quick, it wasn't even that rights to a cut of every project. Daily Wire owns it in perpetuity. So the original Candace Owens show, Daily Wire owns that. So everything Candace has done since then, with I think her new show is literally just called Candace, she had to build from the ground up. Daily Wire owns everything. Like they own the platform that you make. So if you were to leave, you don't you can't take anything with you. It's just like kind of your persona. And then hopefully your following follows you there.
We have had 3 great years, and I am proud of what we've accomplished together. Leaving the show and the platforms that we've built is hard, but I'm very excited for what's to come. Knowing that we have brought so many people together in laughter over these last 3 years means the world to me. I appreciate all of you, so let's chat again soon. But in the meantime, go touch some grass, kick some rocks, and we'll catch up shortly. And now for some final thoughts from the God King himself, Jeremy Boring.
Bittersweet indeed. We're sad to see Brett go, but we're excited to see her take the next step in her journey. Brett's an amazing talent, both as a personality and as an actress. It's been a pleasure to see her bring the comment section to life these last 3 years, and her performance in the Pendragon cycle is sensational. I'm certain that whatever Brett creates next will be filled with the same joy and laughter and heart that she's brought to all of her work at the Daily Wire. And we wish her nothing but the best.
So, my friends, while I have you here, I thought we could run it back one.
So this is essentially that's the ending. So they did this kind of very scripted, performative thing to be like, this is the last episode. Obviously, both sides agreed to put those statements forward. Yeah, Coy is spot on with a few of those statements you've been putting in, that it's exactly what's caused a lot of this division here. And that's what you're seeing on the right too as well, kind of being split over this whole, the question, as you put it. But to go to Ian Carroll's little video here, it's like a nice snippet. It's like only about 2 minutes long as well. And obviously him being the phenomenal researcher that he is, he's always like
He
on
said that
thing.
didn't seem phony and weird.
Yeah, no, right. Exactly. But Ian Carroll is like phenomenal at this stuff, right? Like Ian Carroll has he has friends in the industry, but I guess more so his whole thing is like, he just wants to know what's right and what's wrong. He doesn't care about like making friends by any means. He's like a hardcore researcher. And honestly, like, I'm really thankful to Elon for having Ian be able to boost his following on X, because it's like, I think it's essentially sacrificed what he had on TikTok because they were censoring him all the time. But this was someone raw replying to this, and he had said, "You have our support, Brett. You'll crush it with whatever you decide to do next." And then he has blinked twice if the rumors are true, but you can't say anything because you're bound by an NDA. And I don't know whose show he was on, but Ian Carroll was on somebody's show. So it's VT.com. I might just be an idiot.
Valuetainment? No, probably not.
It could be Valuetainment, but I don't know if it's VT.com is their thing. But we'll go ahead and take a listen.
Yeah, I was gonna say I followed him pretty closely. I don't remember him being on there.
I think it was like, it might be Viva Fries. That might be Viva Fries who he's talking to. I can't remember. I watched a little bit earlier.
Inside scoop on the fact that the Daily Wire is pushing Brett Cooper out, and I was like, and I know who she is. She's great at her job. She
does Valuetainment.
And so I go and look up her channel, and I'm like, wait a minute. She's still producing videos though. What's going on? Yeah. And so I started digging in more. I talked to James, then I went and I started digging in and found my own source at right at the Daily Wire. And now I've had even more come and corroborate it since I reported on it. And it's not just that the Daily Wire is pushing out Brett Cooper. It's actually that Brett Cooper is under one of these contracts that has her basically tied to secrecy and silence, because now that they're terminating her contract, their arbitration clauses are coming into play. So she is in a secret court of arbitration, not a public court, where she is under NDA and can't say anything about it while they spin whatever narrative they want about it. And they're circulating around letters internally that are saying like, oh, Brett Cooper wants to leave, and that is not the case at all, apparently, according to everyone at the Daily Wire that I've spoken to. And it's that she had disagreements with Jeremy Boring over what happened with Candace, probably, and certainly more disagreements in terms of like the culture there and what's going on, and is now getting pushed out. They are promoting her best friend, who was her maid of honor at her wedding. They offered her a contract that was so lucrative she couldn't refuse it.
The best friend that her bestie was already off.
Producer Reagan,
bridesmaid.
Yeah, her producer was her bridesmaid at her wedding this year, and they apparently allegedly gave her acting classes to help her imitate Brett's mannerisms. And when I was talking to a girl with the family I was staying with before, she's like an 18-year-old chick that loves Brett Cooper. She's a total super fan. She was like, yeah, the Reagan episodes are kind of weird because she's like a clone of Brett Cooper.
Oh my!
And it's because they paid for acting classes, apparently.
Yeah. So there's the other side of it, to the guy who obviously follows deeply into the the Diddy stuff, the Epstein stuff, the Las Vegas story. He pointed to as well the fact that they did do the acting classes for the girl, and he like played like videos back to back of that Reagan chick taking over and having like that same cadence of speech, the same kind of like bubbly like tone, same is the same performance, really, just a different person performing it.
Yeah, I saw Adam Price said this guy was on Viva Fry yesterday. His name's Ian Carroll, and he's got some really insightful videos that are well worth looking into. He goes down the rabbit hole pretty hard on the Las Vegas mass shooting that happened, the Jason Aldean concert, and I don't know what YouTube's rules are on that, so that's pretty much all I'll talk about it. But yeah, it's worth looking into. He's actually pretty informative. And some of the other things that you mentioned as well.
Yeah.
Coy said, "Oh, it's the carpenter from the Village People." I was thinking it was the singer for Queen.
I saw that too. That was pretty funny. He does have a very like an 80s, 90s, early 90s vibe.
Drones, robots, robot dogs combination, possibly Terminator 2 vibes. Yeah, for sure.
Right. The end of that dystopian point. But to even give more credibility to Ian Carroll, one of the things I'd listened to him, he was somebody who not was the sole reason, but there was a big thing that I kind of really didn't even know in regards to like what's going on in Gaza. And he covered that incredibly in depth. That really opened my eyes to a lot of the atrocities that are taking place that aren't being covered, that we see here in the mainstream media. And after already like following him for the Las Vegas stuff and other stories too, I obviously was like, okay, this guy's gonna have a lot to say regarding this. And that's why he's been covering this, because of what Coy alluded to earlier, which is again a big reason of what separates a lot of people on the right wing, regarding just influence from a specific place, that has a lot of other downstream effects too. And obviously Warren knows this, so do I. Like, YouTube does not appreciate and does not like, will derank, dealgorize. I think that's meant the right word, dealgorize you.
De-algorithmize. I don't know.
Yeah, some kind of like word there, in regards to this too. So that's why you'll see a lot more of the presence of people on the right wing who aren't in that kind of Daily Wire camp tribe.
That's why
use your influence elsewhere.
That's why we'll use the phrase Ben Shapiro's favorite country.
Yeah. And it's said, right? It's said we have to that's the order of operations. But again, if you want to look to who rules over you, look to those you can't criticize. It's one of the most tried and true statements, pieces of advice that you could ever follow.
Yeah, exactly. And as it pertains to YouTube, some people will come from the perspective, well, just say it, and I got to tell you, I'm grateful for the YouTube platform. They allow me to store hundreds of gigabytes of videos for free, and then they ultimately pay me for it. So I don't mind following the rules. Maybe one day when the channel is big enough, when the show is big enough, we'll have our own website and we'll be able to do things like maybe behind a paywall for, how it gets to, how things progress too.
Yep.
But, that'd be on a long-term goals type scenario.
Yep. But yeah, that's the update for the Brett Cooper situation. I think the rumors are probably more than likely true. All the original allegations It is unfortunate that she has to do all this adjudication in a private court. And obviously, though, she knew the risk when she signed that contract. We had the Steven Crowder thing that happened about a year ago, maybe a little over a year ago now at this point, is specifically talking about why he wouldn't sign with the Daily Wire for these same exact reasons. Like, he read through the contract pretty in depth. Forgive me. And he was the one who pointed to the fact that Jeremy Boring, like, used the term, like, he said wage slaves. That
Yeah.
was something that got circulated for quite a bit. And so it kind of really did paint the Daily Wire in a bad light. I thought one of the funny comments, though, if I go back to this original one and get out of this full screen here, if you see, so this is Matt Walsh saying he's a big Brett Cooper fan, that she's a big talent, and he'll be excited and very sad to see her go. Ian Carroll's top comment to his post is, "We'll all be happy when you leave too, Matt. Trust yourself. Your reputation is diminished every day you stay."
That's a good point.
Yeah. So Ian's clearly got a specific a bias, at least when he's looking at this. It's just yeah, it's unfortunate. It was Daily Wire kind of blew up pretty fast, and I think it's going to be dying off just the same way it came in.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely could. They're good at marketing, and I think that helps keep them relevant. Anytime the chocolate bar goes woke or the razors go woke, you see Jeremy's chocolates, Jeremy's razors, Jeremy's everything. So I mean,
I think Matt Walsh is like carrying them, right, with like the "What is a Woman?"
Oh yeah, "What is a
Am I
Woman?"
Racist
and
stuff.
"Am I Racist?" movies, which I haven't seen the "Am I Racist?" movie, unfortunately. Don't pay for Daily Wire, so I can't see it, but maybe I'll figure it out someday. But yeah, his movies are definitely the top movies coming out of the Daily Wire. I know they try to do that whole kids app, like the side app that was like the kids cartoons and stuff like that.
Bentkey, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, Bentkey, that's right. I haven't heard anything about it. They never advertised for it. So I don't know if that even lasted. It took them forever to like actually implement it. And I don't know if it lasted very long, to be honest with you. That might have
I
been
think it might still be going, but I don't know if they're adding anything to it.
Yeah. The Alphabet Group, the actual corporate. Yeah, that's who owns Google, I believe, right? The Alphabet Group. Could bend the world to their will if they wanted to. Yeah, I feel like they probably could. They seem like they have a lot of control over media and information. You just consider the Google search option. You go to search Google for information, and then they can dictate what you see and what you don't see. That's why I like Brave. I like to mix it up and use Brave.
Yeah, Brave's probably the best browser out there.
Coy said, looks like it looks like it'd be a good movie. Just too late. Communism in America is over like disco.
Yeah, the thing that's one of the points people point to is like Daily Wire almost kind of like waits until the tide turns to like start speaking out. A lot of people were saying these things years ago and getting canceled.
They're more reactive than proactive.
Right. People were already previously kind of like depersoned and like debanked for saying a lot of the same things, like don't get their credibility. And then Daily Wire obviously comes in when the dust settles, and then it's that they can make these statements when obviously the majority of the populace has already decided like, oh, it's now politically correct, or rather outside of those frame, it's like it's moved back into the mainstream, and like now it's like now we can talk about it and people will engage with it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, they're not adding anybody new to it either. Like, when's the last time the Daily Wire added like somebody big, somebody new to their team?
I think it was Brett Cooper was like the last big one I can think of.
Right. And that was before the Crowder thing, right? He was there before, or she was there before.
I'm not sure. I know that she only recently, like in this last 8-9 months, started.
Was it? No, I feel like
big.
Crowder addressed Brett Cooper even when he was talking about it. Maybe I'm wrong.
Might have, actually, you might be correct about that.
Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, maybe that whole Crowder thing just screwed him over. Once he said, "No, I don't like your contract. It's written like this," and everybody else with common sense and their own platform was like, "No, I'm better off staying solo than going under contract with you and losing my rights to everything, and then having to to Crowder's point too, and then having to adhere to make sure that my channel stays on YouTube. It's not even like it's going behind a paywall now I can say everything. It's going behind a paywall, still got to follow YouTube's rules, still got to stay in line to make sure that, you know, I'm catching that revenue or whatever too.
Yeah, no, you're right. 2 years ago, her oldest videos 2 years ago. So she would have been like just before the Steven Crowder thing.
Yeah, she was just in there. So yeah, and like I said, I don't know. It could be wrong. Can you guys in chat? Do you guys know of anybody new that's been added recently? I mean, I don't know when. Oh, who's the guy? He does those like roundtable shows or whatever, where they kind of get everybody. And I think he's probably been in there for a while as well. It's not Alan Lickman. That's the other guy.
Oh, Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, there's Jordan Peterson. He was there beforehand. Oh, I can't think of the guy's name now. Oh well, it's not important. He's not important. That if he's not that rememberable, then he's not worth noting, I guess.
No, right. Yeah, just Knowles, Walsh, Andrew Clavin, Jordan Peterson.
Clavin. That's who it was. Andrew Clavin. Yeah, he's actually decent, but he's not I don't think he has his own show, but that's who I was thinking of. He does some good pieces, guest spots on other people's shows. Actually, that's kind of what I know him from the most.
That's the wild thing he does. He's just like the least known person there, or like the smallest. But we did pass the 2-hour mark a little bit ago. Did you want to
oh crap,
cover anything else?
I didn't even realize. Holy crap! Yeah, we got to get out of here soon. We'll wrap up with a couple. We got some one-offs that we can get into. Yeah, we'll get into a couple of these one-offs. Make sure you guys share this. Try to pump these viewers up here for the end and see what we can get to. We're at 240 right now. But
you want to do the FBI director, Christopher Wray, resigning?
Yeah, is that down here?
Yeah, I just shared it.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yep, Christopher Wray has just resigned per
lightning
Fox
round.
News.
That's right.
Yeah, lightning round. Good riddance, you corrupt fool. Kash Patel was actually caught on, I would call it not a hot mic, but it's only a 6-second video. You know, Benny Johnson breaking. Kash Patel responds to Christopher Wray's resignation. So go ahead and play that rather than read the quote.
What's your reaction to Wray's resignation? We look forward to a very smooth transition at the FBI, and I'll be ready to go on day one. What's your reaction?
So be ready to go on day one. We look very forward to a very smooth transition at the FBI. So very positive for Kash Patel. And actually, we can do lightning round here. We can actually like fly through these a bit and just share them out.
Yeah.
This is one I alluded to earlier with Mitch McConnell. Had to be wheeled in after that fall.
Oh yeah, definitely worse off than what they tried to portray it as.
Yeah, no, exactly. And so you need to be carted out by staff in wheelchair after crippling health scares, is how Benny Johnson puts it. He's 82 years old, been hiding his condition from the public. We must pass term limits in America. One thing that I had on a one-off on another show that I've not seen get talked about, I believe Joe Manchin and someone else actually is floating this idea. They want to impose term limits on Supreme Court justices. They want to impose 18-year term limits on Supreme Court justices. So I believe that's being sponsored by Joe Manchin and someone else who I cannot think of, obviously, for specific reasons of wanting to mitigate power of the Supreme Court justice, but obviously from a specific view.
Yeah. So I'm curious.
Cool. Oh, go ahead.
Before we move forward, I'm curious. Have you seen, does the Christopher Wray resignation, is that going to be like just at the like inauguration day, or is that immediately? Are they going to go with like an interim director for like this next 40 days or?
I'm not sure. The way I saw it reported was that he was resigning. I would assume it would be effective immediately. But even if it wasn't, it would probably, with Kash Patel saying he'd be ready to go day one with a smooth transition, it could probably be that the fact that he lines up and as the administration transfers power, that Kash Patel goes in and Wray leaves.
So long, Director Wray. You will not be missed. You may want to move to a country without an extradition treaty with the United States. FBI Director Christopher Wray has announced his resignation, stating his intention to serve until the end of the current administration in January. Wray emphasized his commitment to keeping the Bureau focused on its mission, saying, "This is the best way to avoid dragging the Bureau deeper into the fray. The decision comes as President-elect Donald Trump moves forward with nominating Kash Patel as his replacement." Okay, so it looks like he's going to go ahead and finish out the term.
Yeah. So like,
I don't like lame ducks, and I think an interim leader would be even more of a lame duck than he already is. So that's good news.
Yeah. You got the job for 30 days. Have fun, man.
Yeah, let her rip.
Now, this was just another kind of smaller, shorter one. This is P. Hegseth showing off his American flag suit lining when they asked him about how his senator meetings went. Now, for those who are not in the know, Pete Hegseth has been the next target since Matt Gaetz was obviously opposed greatly by, rhinos and the like for his nomination to be AG. Pete Hegseth was now in the crosshairs now that Matt Gaetz is out of the picture. He's been having a lot of meetings with people like Joni Ernst as well as other senators. But this was his, this is how he feels after how his meetings have been going.
What do you hope to talk to Senator Collins about today? What do you hope to talk to Senator Collins about today?
This is how we're feeling today, right here. Feeling great.
Do you feel confident that you're going to get to a confirmation process?
So he just flashes his American flag suit. That was his
dope.
response. Yeah,
I kind of want one of those. Yeah, right.
And then I would imagine you would be too, constantly being under attack by false accusations and then being in the news cycle, being attacked 6 ways from Sunday for everything that would, toxic masculinity, right? Like that's the purview they're looking at.
Right. Probably
This
getting
one's
the same question over and over and over again too. It's just like, bro, look at the last time I said answer the stupid question.
He's probably just ready to get in there. Just make me secretary, dude. So just leave me alone.
Like you make me chomping at the bit or champing at the bit. Which one is it?
Chomping at the bit.
That's what I always say. got me chomping at the bit to get this job started. And every dumb question you guys ask me makes me want to get it started even sooner, right?
Yeah. When this is from Leading Report, just smaller, no video. But New York City Mayor Eric Adams shutting down 25 more migrant shelters ahead of Trump's inauguration. This is the second time he's done this now, maybe even the third. He's trying to get New York cleaned up before Trump takes over, and obviously be a lot less of a headache for when the time comes where these things all get shut down at once. Eric Adams is definitely a grifter. He's already floated the idea of like he wants to switch to the Republican Party. But I believe there was a point even like a year or two ago where he got a little vocal about how he was kind of opposing the illegal immigration that was happening. He might not have said illegal at the time, but he was definitely under, what's the right word, pressure from his constituents.
He was receiving some scrutiny. Yeah.
Yeah. And even like
from his peers.
From peers and even from the Black community, that was like a big thing there too. Like they were not happy about the displacement that was happening. And so it came from obviously a not normal kind of like white American place.
We didn't toe the lefty line. I think he also said something about the pro-Palestine protests at a couple of the schools there.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, you do any amount of like out of line with the left, it's over for you, buddy.
Yeah, it only takes one. It only takes one, and they'll kick you right on out, no matter how much good you've done.
Yeah, not a part of this death cult anymore. And then this is one of the last one-offs here, and I thought it was pretty cool. It's actually Daniel Penny, like a minute-long video, and he says the trial was worth it just to keep people safe. So go ahead and play this.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not a confrontational person. I don't really extend myself. And like this type of thing is very uncomfortable. All this attention and limelight is very uncomfortable. And I would prefer without it. I didn't want any type of attention or praise, and I still don't. The guilt I would have felt if someone did get hurt, if he did do what he was threatening to do, would never be able to live with myself. And I'll take 1 million court appearances and people calling me names and people hating me just to keep one of those people from getting hurt or killed. I mean, I'm not a confrontation.
He said, and I'll do it again.
Right. Right. And I was going to say, that just reminded me. I wanted to talk about one more thing just real quick, but then I wanted to show this to go along with that. If I have it. Yeah, here it is. Drag that over. This was like when it happened, and this was one of the women. This is actually like a video that was recently released, from what I understand, when I read it.
There's 2 young ladies right here.
Yeah.
Okay, what did you see?
What did I see? I was sitting over there, I heard the young man that's on the floor saying, hey, I'm willing to die, I'll do anything. I'm willing to die. I'll go to jail. I don't care. And he was saying it so loud that everyone turned around. So this young man, he got belligerent and he tackled him down. The one that just passed away in the brown jacket, the one that just went past.
So yeah, and it says right here, that's body cam footage released from Daniel Penny trial showing the witness Aletha Giddings giving statement to police after the chokehold. So it adds a little bit to it. That's a new piece that we hadn't seen before. Yeah. And then I posted this, actually. I saw this and it reminded me so much of this Penny situation. This dude's walking around acting crazy. I mean, speaks for itself. Fighting his demons, I guess. I mean, look at that woman. How are all these people still just sitting there? He's throwing punches at their face. Are people so afraid of being called some kind of name or labeled that they're willing to just sit there in danger? Like, I don't understand it, And that stuff doesn't happen in a polite society. And for those of you that are, fans of the show, my take is that an armed society is a polite society. I don't think that dude would be messing around in a polite society like that. He'd look down and notice a couple things pointed at him. You know what I mean? she'll write the F out. Then this one right here, this was a breaking. Speaker Mike Johnson calls for investigation into Act Blue after it claims it accepted foreign gift card donations. And this is highly illegal. And I saw Elon Musk even reposted this earlier, but breaking. Act Blue was accepting foreign gift cards until September. This is illegal. The House Administrative Committee will continue this important investigation into Act Blue in the next Congress. Our work here is just getting started. So this is something, precursor as to something that we're probably going to follow more in depth as the story unfolds. But this is big. This is Act Blue is the big foundation that people give Democrats money through, right? Isn't that what it is?
Yeah, well, this is the one that was even previously being investigated for doing all of those like small multi-cent donations where they were really just like breaking up large donations from huge donors to get around super PACs.
Yeah,
So
they're
they
going
were,
around asking people, did you give 72 cents on this day and $4 on this day? And they're like, I have no clue. I've never done that. That's right.
Yeah, I mean, it was like that way they could funnel the money when people really weren't donating. They couldn't get it from regular people. They would send out those email campaigns, kind of like phishing, get their information, and then they would use that information to act as if that individual person who they emailed some time ago was making like, some of these were like they made 69 donations, all less than $1 over a span of like 4 months. It's like things that people don't do.
Yeah, exactly. Or it was people that had formerly given like $50 to Act Blue or whatever, and then all of a sudden, like I can't remember who it was. It might have been James O'Keefe was going around. I think it was James O'Keefe knocking on these people's doors, and he had like this giant list. He's like, "So you didn't give $5 on this day and $2 on this day," and people were looking at him like, "I'm on fixed income. Are you fucking crazy? What are you talking about?"
Yep.
And so yeah, this is a further part of that. There's something they've discovered as part as a part of that. I didn't even realize that. So, anyways, something that we're gonna stick to and follow this one through to fruition, because that's pretty corrupt right there. That's some messed up junk, and it all has to do with influencing elections and everything too. So, anyways, with that, you can find me over on America First TV on YouTube, also on Rumble. I'm Worrell on X. This is my profile right here. Oh look, I'm live. But make sure you give me a follow. I'll do my best to follow everybody back. Join that Discord. I'd love to see some new faces in there. It's grown slowly but surely. We had some good conversations. We even jumped into a voice chat the other day and had a little fun conversation. And then let everybody know where they can find you, and we'll wrap this one up.
No, you can find me on YouTube at Atlas Thugged. You can also find me on X at Atlas_Thugged_. And again, you know, I kind of push the boundary on both YouTube and X, but you can definitely find my my most honest thoughts on X most times. Appreciate everybody for being here, and just following up on what Worrell said. Come and join the Discord. Come and show if you want to provide some topics. You have ideas for guests. You want to be a guest yourself. You have a niche kind of or maybe or argument. Maybe you want to debate with us too. We love all of the kind of engagement we get, and so we encourage it and appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. I see this last comment here. My cousin from Alaska had an oil leak in his snowmobile, so he dropped it off at the shop. Had lunch across the street. Mechanic told him he blew a seal. Cousin wiped his chin and said, "No, it's just tartar sauce." Thank you for the last minute joke there, Coy. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, where did you get this guy?
Tix Bomber, I see that you enjoyed the show. I'm glad you did. Subscribe to both channels. That's fantastic. Yeah.
Yep,
And
thank you.
let's get Atlas Thugged over 1,000 subs. I appreciate everybody for being here. Everybody that engaged in chat. It's great seeing some new faces. We'll be back on today's Wednesday. Yeah, we'll be back on Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. And we run Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, 6 Eastern. We go for 2-3 hours. With that, we'll finish up by saying Christ is King.
Christ is King.
Later, yo.
And, yep. Have a good night, buddy.
Let's roll, rolling Atlas Thugged. We here to bring the truth. Jar open this podcast. We breaking through the fake news. They try to silence us, but we will be subdued. We're bearded alpha males here to save the youth. Spitting fire on the mic with the bass Christian takes. Exposing the lies, keeping the demons at bay. We ain't afraid to speak up. We won't be swayed. Jar open this podcast where the truth is laid. Jar openers, cracking open the lies. We're rolling Atlas Thugged. We're here to rise. Bearded alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. We ain't playing games, we're on a mission to awaken the masses with our intuition. Pulling out the corruption with no inhibition. Jar open this podcast, sparking a revolution. We're not afraid to stand tall in a world full of deceit. We're the voice of reason, bringing light to the street. Keeping it real, never missing a beat. Jar open this podcast where the truth meets the heat. Jar openers, cracking open the lies. We're rolling Atlas Thugged, we're here to rise. Bearded alpha males saving the youth from the godless demons, spreading the truth. Jar open this podcast where the truth will never cease. Join us on the journey to bring back peace. We're rolling Atlas Thugged, fearless in our release. Jar open this podcast where the lies will decrease.